Knight h4,
Knight
yeah?
h4.
Yeah, that there's some sort of like a tricky move like that, and then you wind up losing your knight. Yep. So basically, okay, the exchange sack, you can't quite make it work when things on the H file are open. So, okay, so what can black do? I mean, the problem with a move like rook g8 is that, like, I will take, and then I come in. So you never really have time to get your knight here, because there's always, like, bad stuff happening. So it's actually, you know, black is not really being given the time to reroute this knight so easily. Meanwhile, he can't really move the knight anywhere, because that pawn would hang. So it's tricky for black, yeah? I mean, I guess you're right, Irene. Maybe king b8. Just king b8, bishop c8, like, start improving your pieces just a bit. And then what would we do? That's what I mean, black's move I feel like is easier to play than for white, because white needs like a real plan here.
Yep.
So if I go bishop a3, is it worthwhile?
Or maybe instead of bishop a3, queen e3.
Or queen e3, sure. You can try. You can try.
Ah, and maybe now there's rook d4.
You think maybe like now it could be a more appropriate moment. But I don't even think, yeah, the tempo doesn't seem to matter that much. I mean, you would still, I think you would just still take the rook and just go queen f3. You know, you would just take, oh, no, taking, maybe it's, again, it's always this one. Yeah, as soon as the rook goes there, we start exploiting the H file. ABASOV makes an interesting move that we were not expecting. He takes on h4.
Wow, and emptying the space on g5 for the knight.
And also the idea of rook h4, f5. Okay.
So you have to take it with the knight then.
Yeah, I think you got to take with the knight. You take with the knight. And then what could his idea be? I mean, it seems like it has to be this move, right? I think so. It must be that. But there could, maybe there you run into knight g6.
Oh, hey, Magnus was about to take on...
Yeah, shows some hesitation.
Yeah, but there's some hesitation. What could it be?
So here there's knight g6, which looks quite unpleasant. And then you have a problem with h6, so you have to go rook h7. But now the rook hangs. You can't take back with the h-pawn. And white would be winning here. So it's not knight g5. So let's try to understand what else his idea could be.
Rook
there you
g8.
go. Rook g8, rook h g8. He plays it instantly. That's
stopping
his point.
g6.
Yep. Stopping knight g6, and then maybe later he'll go here. Okay. So interesting concept by ABASOV. He wants to try to, like, in a way, he's kind of exposed his pawns, right, with that move. But in the other way, he's kind of unleashing some of his pieces. But again, it might really come down to this bishop, you know, because he's basically playing without a piece.
Yep. And time situation. Magnus is currently ahead 18 minutes.
Oh, wow. So actually, ABASOV had a very long think somewhere, because they were basically kind of even on the clock. So let's see where he had that long think. But for now, let's think of a move for white.
Queen c7.
Queen c7, that one was the big think of the game, huh?
Yeah, he spent like 20 minutes there.
Yeah, it's not a very complicated move, or one that involves a lot of calculation, but there must have been other stuff that he was looking at that was taking his time. But queen c7 looks quite, like, let's say, normal, right? Okay, knight e4, so he goes for... Takes an h4, rook g8. So let's try to find a move for Magnus now. So one thing that we don't want to do is go queen f3, because even though it's nice to attack the pawn, you walk right into knight g5. And I don't necessarily think we want to be in this position. I don't know. Like, it's kind of surprising, because I see the engine bar still likes this for white, but, you know, you're forced to go knight g2, and I mean, it's a little surprising why it likes it for white so much. What do you think?
I think because of the long-term effect, that the fact that you still have a knight on the board in this close position, yeah, it's I think quite an advantage for white. So maybe
But it's surprising.
it is surprising, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. If Carlsen would play Queen F3 and walk into that and go for this line, I would be like, you know, somewhat surprised, you know, by his judgment. But let's see what other options we got here for white. Or should we just ask ourselves first what black wants? Because that might help us.
Yep. So I think black just wants to double the rook on the g file.
Really? This one, yeah? Just like that. Maybe.
But then there's always f3.
In a way, Carlsen might not mind having like a knight on e3, but the problem is if he moves the knight back, there could be f5. In fact, it probably is f5. You know, so you can't really go on these kinds of maneuvers. You got to constantly watch out for f5. We want to pressure that pawn. That seems to be like a really natural weak spot in your position, right? But it's not so easy to like bring pieces there because you're always running into that.
Right. So it's a move like rook dg1 here.
But what does it do?
Well, I want to move my queen. So gotta protect g4 first.
Where do you want to move your queen?
e3.
But then you want to go to e3, and what are you threatening? You're threatening c5. Yeah. That's interesting. Rook dg1. I don't know. I don't know if I intuitively like this move. It takes a little defense off of d3. I mean, I guess you can always like kind of put your rook here, right? That's actually an interesting square. But I do like the rook on g3. So you know what? Yeah, I'm willing to kind of look at this move.
Yep.
I think things are great for white, so I think you have to take and maybe even
Queen
queen
e6.
e6.
And take on the f6 with the queen.
Okay, this is like such a radical change. Like you don't really go for that so easily, I think, if you're Magnus.
Yep.
So here we go. What do we have here? Are we just winning because your bishop is completely out of play? Maybe. Your king is weak. The pawn is weak. This one can't really be captured. This is coming. Okay. Actually, it looks pretty good.
Yep.
Maybe that is the right approach.
Yeah, f4 really changes the game, yeah? So is there anything else a part of taking on f4?
Yeah, well, there is this move that kind of reminds me of Salimova's bishop c8, idea from yesterday. Right, so you kind of allow white to play f5, and then you at least bring the bishop back, and this bishop kind of gets back into the game.
Yeah, but white will just keep the pawns like this, yeah?
Yeah, or like if I take and we kind of look at this position. I mean, everything is beautiful for white, but except that white is down a pawn. Right, so maybe black can hold things together here. Queen d7.
Queen d7.
Yeah, just kind of like attack stuff. And my bishop is kind of restricted by your pawns as well, right?
Yeah, but the bishop can easily be rerouted, like king b1 or king c2, and then bishop c1. I like white here.
Yeah, well, it's like visually it's very appealing for white, but still a question, like if white can break through, and white has like little weaknesses of their own that they need to constantly keep an eye on. There's like some redeeming things about black's position as well. So, yeah, f4 is a very interesting move, right? Like king b8, but he really, in a way, is kind of helping the bishop on a6 come into the game. And there's no real reason for us to take there, is there?
So taking on e5, knight takes.
Yeah, I think you take. Yeah, I don't really see him going for this. Because here I think I can just take, right? I guess you can take an f6. Yeah, like it's interesting how when all these things like get clarified, like black is still stuck with quite a terrible pawn structure, yeah?
Yeah, but black has some idea along the second rank. The king is actually pretty weak there. The bishop can defend e6 easily by playing bishop c8. So things are actually looking better for black, to be honest.
Yeah. So I don't know. f4 is like a very big deal. Like, you know, it's a huge change to the position.
Big decision to make now.
Yeah. So let's look at your like rook g1 move again. Let's try to see if like maybe king b8, rook g3, bishop c8, and now maybe can we go knight g2 now, or there's still f5?
Ooh,
He goes for f4.
He goes for
yeah.
f4.
Yeah, Magnus doesn't miss that chance to immediately pressure black's position. Yeah, it must be an unpleasant move, I think, to face, actually, as black. Because even finding, like, king b8, bishop c8 will, you know, take you some time. And meanwhile, you've got to evaluate a lot of different things. Like, you've got to evaluate, like, okay, why can't I take? Right? Like, what's going on in this position? So I don't know. I wonder if ABASOV will actually be able to react quickly to this move. If he's just kind of going to go with his intuition, or he's going to like spend a lot of time here.
I think for the first move, I think he will just play it very quickly, because I don't see any other move on this position for black. Because
Yeah, you think king b8 is like kind of intuitive.
yeah. Also, what else can be done in this position? Yeah, I think that's one way to go. You have
Yeah, you have to improve your bad bishop on a6, yeah? Yeah, so in a way, that makes things easier for him, you know, because really there's just something in his position that stands out so much, right? The bishop on a6. All right, well, we will see what Magnus has after the position that we're likely going to reach in a couple of moves with f5 and bishop c8. Meanwhile, Caruana, what did he do in his big decision? So we spent a lot of time trying to figure this position out. We looked at a5, we looked at knight e3, pawn takes pawn, and Caruana went for pawn takes pawn and the rook trade. All right. So he goes for the rook trade, and for a while now, Prague has been thinking.
Yep, how to take the rook back. Naturally, rook takes, yeah?
Yeah.
But what could he be thinking? Like if knight takes and reroute the knight to c6? Or
Well, he might lose the pawn, though, if he takes the
exactly.
knight.
So if taking with the bishop doesn't look appealing to me.
Unless there's, like, you know, some concept of, I don't know, c6, and somehow you'll open up the bishop. I mean, I don't think knight takes is on his agenda, because I'm pretty sure that just loses a pawn. Like, I take, you take, and I probably take with my c knight.
With either knights. Yeah.
Yeah, either knight. Yeah, I guess I can take with this one too. Yeah, you don't even have rook d8, sure. So I don't know, like, why would he really be looking at this position?
And already thinking for more than 8 minutes.
I mean, taking with the bishop is like the weird move that maybe has a point, right? Still, it's like so weird.
Yeah, but it looks very weird. So yeah.
So you think like just rook takes b8,
Rook's
the
b8,
automatic
yeah.
move should be played. Rook takes b8, and what can white be planning here?
No, this is a curious decision by Pragnanandhaa not to take it immediately and then see your opponent's move first and then think.
So maybe, I mean, remember we looked at this knight a5 move? Maybe that's like still the point. Do you think? Yeah, because maybe that's why Fabi traded the rooks first. Because remember, I was trying to play this move and I let you trade the rooks. Maybe this is his idea. So that, you know, basically I get to play knight c6 here. And if you take here, now I throw in knight c6. And it's a little bit, well, by the way,
Yep.
that knight can do a lot of jumping.
So the rook has to come back to a8.
Yeah,
it doesn't
no,
look good
I
there.
can see why he's thinking. I can see that
Now
because
queen a6 and
yeah, queen a6 is a move. I mean, pawn takes pawn is still a move, isn't it? But you,
yeah, definitely.
yeah, you can't even play d5 because of that fork. So the knight becomes extremely powerful. So actually, he's going for this idea, but he does it in an improved version because when we looked at it, we looked at knight a5, but you know, we basically knew there was always kind of like if you go knight c6, there's always a capture. So Fabi captures first, and then I think he wants to go knight a5. So rook takes, knight a5. How do we deal with this c6 square? Because there's a lot of positions, like if you go bishop b6, I go knight c6, and I go a5, like your bishop starts coming under serious pressure.
Yeah, so I don't know about this move, d5, but let's try it because it looks, you have to do something in the center. Otherwise, if white closes it and, you know, having the better knight on c6.
Yeah.
So d5.
I completely agree. I mean, I think this is the move. I think it's probably the way to go. But you know what? Maybe it's this pawn that hangs.
ed, queen d, and queen a6.
Yeah. Exactly. Like where I capture. It would be wonderful. But this move might be the problem. So, am I just winning a pawn here? Well, how do you even react to this? Like bishop b6, I guess?
Or maybe just take on d4. Because after
Take
queen
on
a7,
d4,
there's rook
queen
a8.
a7, rook a8.
Or even bishop
I'm
takes
gonna-
d4. Does it work?
Bishop takes d4.
Does it work?
Pawn takes, rook a8. Wow, maybe. Maybe like that. Like
Something's
that.
wrong. Or knight c6. This
Knight c6
yeah.
right here, right?
always some tactics.
But then you have bishop c3. I mean, it's not like,
It's not like the end of the world.
it's not over. Hold on.
It is over. Like it's a piece up, no?
Hold on 1 second. Like bishop takes d4, knight c6, bishop. Because you're saying I take twice, yeah?
Yeah.
I take, you take, and I am going to be up a piece. After I recapture on e1. Yeah, okay. So let's go back a little bit. So we're trying d5, but we're experiencing some problems in that line for black. There could be something better, right, in this position? What could be a better move than queen takes a6? Is it knight takes e5? It is, isn't it? It's knight e5, and we're trying to use the attack on the knight to just win a pawn, so you don't get my knight for free. And if you take, then obviously I protect. And I'm kind of lucky how all of this holds together.
Yeah, how the queen stands on d3, yeah?
Yeah, how I'm
Protecting
like
d1.
defending that, and somehow like I'm protecting that, and I'm not you know, it's quite okay. So what is Prague gonna do in this position? So if like this most obvious move is not quite working, can he take on d4? I don't think we've looked at that yet, have we? Or we have.
We have, and then knight
Yeah,
c6 you said.
Knight c6, yeah. Feels unpleasant, for sure. Feels like white just kind of has this free edge. But okay, let's do our best to navigate this.
Rook b6, just primitively like that.
Wow.
But it doesn't stop knight c6, does it? Because there is d5.
Yeah. I mean, it's a cool idea. I never would have thought of it like, yeah, you put the rook in front of the bishop, but unfortunately, there is still knight c6. But what can we do on knight c6?
Attacking the bishop.
Yeah. So knight c6. If the rook takes pawn d5, I mean, that looks pretty good for white. I don't really see the compensation here for black. So you can't take. So your bishop's under attack. I mean, there's some ideas, all right, like of kind of like trapping this knight, like let's say with queen b8. Queen e8? Like if that's the solution, I would be just shocked. But I actually think it is. Okay, hold on. I think I'm about to be shocked. Wait, if I go queen e8, your knight's hanging, so you don't have time for any messing around. If you go d5, I still have a problem with the bishop. But I could go queen a8.
Oh,
And then knight c5.
I don't think it can be queen e8 because
No?
if queen e8, knight a7, how do you deal with this?
I was going to play
Queen A8 or B8?
queen b8, yeah.
And then a5. And then I will just take on a6.
Yeah, your knight's coming out, right? Okay. That doesn't seem to work. All right, let's put it on the board, though, to show people what was the concept and why it doesn't work. We were trying to trap this knight, but yeah, simple a5. Very powerful, and you extricate your knight from c6, so white just up a piece. Okay, that's not it. But, you know, I'm just thinking, like, going for this position as black is, like, almost impossible. Like, the engine bar is sort of keeping it balanced, but, like, it looks so unnatural, and we're having a hard time even finding a move here, even knowing that, like, there is a move, right? So, but let's just try to deal with this one little question of how he reacts. Does he go bishop b8? Is it that? I think it is. I think it is.
I think we're running out of moves. Yeah, bishop
You think it's
b8.
bishop b8? It's just so ugly. Wow. I have to play such ugly moves?
No. It is. Hang on. I was about to say knight b8 so that after, but it doesn't work. Yeah, knight b8 takes and then rook b7. But I'm a bit worried of the capture on e5. Or maybe you just simply ignore it.
It's like I'm so desperate that I'm even looking at like moves like queen a2, giving up the bishop, trying to take the pawn. I'm trying to keep your knight trapped. But of course, I mean, none of that works, you know. So what idea do you have here, Irene?
Knight b8, but I cannot believe if it's the move.
Knight b8. Yeah, I just take an a7 and I have like d5 next, right?
Exactly.
I mean, you have rook b7.
Right.
I mean, that can't be it, right? Like, that also feels like, you know, where, I don't know, yeah, just d5 and come out. Wow. I like these challenges, you know, when we're on the hunt for the move that justifies the computer's evaluation. Okay, now, okay, I see here. We'll just take a look, because we never would have found it.
What?
Yeah, like, okay, here we go.
Knight c5?
Knight c5. Wow. So the idea is you want me to take with the pawn so that then there's no fork. That's pretty tough. I mean, to see that from a way back.
Right.
And so the ideas are, now if I move back, it's like, still, what's the point, though? So now you take and you give up the exchange because somehow you have enough compensation for it. Because maybe you're going to win that pawn. But you only have one pawn. Okay, look, this is so tough.
No, if we got into this position, we could have just taken on c6, d5, and then queen e8 because you have to take on c6 anyway.
Yeah,
You're
but
just
there's
winning.
something.
You're just winning one tempo by doing
you're
that
winning
c5.
a tempo.
Oh, you cannot take on c6 because the knight on d7 is. hang on.
So
but
like here,
Queen
if you go
E8
Queen E8, yeah,
takes
it's
and knight
similar.
C5.
Oh, there maybe there's Queen D5 or Queen C4. Okay, so the queen gets to be more active.
But Queen
compared-
D5 is also okay.
Queen D5, maybe they take on A4.
Yeah, but Queen D5 maybe is the best. I don't know. It looks like controlling everything. Yeah, but yeah, I agree.
But somehow, yeah,
This
but
knight
somehow
C5
this
is
knight
nice.
C5 is kind of a brilliant move
It's
because we don't
really-
have Queen C4, we don't have Queen D5. We must go back to C2, and then you go for the exchange sack. Look, I don't think this is going to happen. I don't know. I just don't see how someone can think of this.
Also, to think about Rook B6, it's just
Right.
You know, first of all, you have to find Rook B6, and then secondly, you also have to find this Knight C5 idea. So it's not easy.
And also, you have to evaluate this position correctly. I mean, because here you're like, I mean, I'm not saying this is the most impossible position to evaluate, but like you are down an exchange. It's not like white has a weak king or like a horrible pawn structure. So you only have like, okay, you have a bishop and pawn for the rook. And like, I would say, well, either you're okay here or you're worse here, right? Like you're not really thinking I'm better here as black, right? And so, and you have to do so much work to even get to this position, and you don't even know exactly how you're doing, right? So, yeah, I mean, it's nice that black does have, I guess, enough initiative against these pawns, like very stable knight here on the outpost, nice bishop, and the white knight is not doing so much. It's a brilliant concept, but I don't know. It feels like really, really difficult to find that over the board. So I can see, I can see why, Prague is thinking now. But after knight A5, like, is this really his only option? He has to find rook B6, the most unnatural move.
Yeah, could be.
Wow,
Yeah.
it's a tough situation that he's in.
No, it's a very difficult decision to make, to play Rook B6 and to come up with the follow-up move like Knight C5 and so on. So, yep. I think we can have a break right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go on our break, guys, and we're going to come back because all the games are heating up, and they're really interesting middle games. We'll see you in a few minutes.
Yep.
Azərbaycanın təbiətindən, Naxçıvanın torpağından süzülərək gələn təbii suyun sirri, Sirab.
Her damlasında hayat var.
FIDE World Rapid Team Championship 2023 inaugural edition is hosted by Düsseldorf, Germany, August 25th to August 28th, 2023. Brand new format. Star lineup featuring world champions Vishwanathan Anand, Vladimir Kramnik, Hu Yifan, Alexandra Kostyuk, world number 5 Jan Nepomniachtchi, world number 8 Wesley So, world number 10 Richard Rapport, and many others. Record prize fund of 250,000 euros. Don't miss it. Watch unique event visiting Rheinterrasse Düsseldorf or live on FIDE YouTube.
Welcome back, everyone. Now we are on to the third hour of the event. And the game between Alexandra Gorchkina versus Nurgul Salimova has come to the end game phase. And it looks like Salimova is in a better situation.
Yeah, well, we had that surprising moment in the opening where White decided that she wasn't going to accept Salimova's gambit of a second pawn, and she made a far less principled move with the exchange of the queens, and this move, which basically gives up her extra pawn right away if Black wants. Let's see if Black took it. Yeah, Black did go for it. It wasn't the only move, but certainly a good one. And so Goryachkina was here right out of the opening. No material advantage, development disadvantage, and really hard to see what was her concept in this position. I mean, Black's moves are very natural. White's just trying to kind of navigate to something playable. Let's see where they eventually got to. Forcing a trade of bishop for knight. And here we are after king e1. So, wow, king e1. Yeah, that move was that big of a threat, I guess, that
Yep.
you had to even go with your king to kind of like a passive-looking square on e1.
Yeah, because I think the knight wants to go to f6, e4, you know, to go to the central square, or to d7. So the knight to g3, it is also another option, but it means the knight will be quite limited there. So while the king is not doing really anything, so the king will just support the f1 square, and now the knight is free to go. But obviously in this position, Black is standing better because not only about the structure of the pawns, but also the bishop has longer range than the knight.
Yeah, in positions with pawns on both sides of the board, the bishop generally does better. And I mean, Goryachkina, I guess she's counting on the fact that these pawns are on dark squares, they can't get attacked by the bishop, and these pawns can sort of move off the light squares as well. Of course, it's passive for her. But okay, let me give you my obvious moves for Black, right? It's really about improving the king. Like, that's Black's job, is to get the king somewhere into the center. But it's a little tricky to do that. Both king f8, I think, and f5 have some issues. Like, I was looking at f5, but for example, there's like a check. And if you go straight towards the center, this becomes something that looks like a problem, because I'm threatening to win your bishop, I'm threatening to win the pawn. And actually, I don't really see how exactly you're saving both.
Right, I think there should be some concrete continuation here where you are sacrificing one of the pawns, but
Yeah.
you got some activity from doing that. Yes, and meanwhile, I think we can also now see quickly the statistics and the details of both players.
Okay, we got
World number
three.
3 versus world number 47. So, yeah, by just judging that, Goryachkina is clearly the favorite. And the rating also has about 150 difference. And also there's another difference in the title, GM and IM, although Salimova is in the right track to get her GM title. And Goryachkina is 24, while Salimova is 20. And they're both qualified from Alexandra from the Women's World Cup 2021, being the finalist, but defeated by Alexandra Kostyanyuk in the final. And Salimova qualified from the European and Individual Championship. And their best result in the previous World Cup, like I mentioned earlier, second place for the Goryachkina. And I think that's the first round in 2021, yeah?
I have to see, like, noticing how she, stays at the board. Do you see how many times she's looked up at Nurgul in just the last minute? It's like she looks at her all the time, which is unusual. Look, like she's staring directly at her opponent. I really haven't seen that. I mean, I know there's the famous Goryachkina stare, but I haven't really seen it personally like that. Like, look, I mean, it's just always her eyes are going to her opponent.
Yeah, it's a bit unusual
Right.
demeanor by Gorchkina, because usually she's quite calm and focused on the board, but yeah, there's something changed. I don't know.
Yeah, well, maybe I mean, I don't know. It might be something that she does, you know,
Or maybe
as a habit, but it's definitely, I'm just saying, it's very noticeable now just watching,
or
right?
maybe because we've seen a
Like, look,
big
again,
crowd,
you know?
yeah, a big crowd on the spectator area. Maybe that's something too. I don't know.
But look at that. I mean, I'm just like, I feel like we could just sit here and like count the number of times that her eyes are going to reach Nurgul. Like, here's another one. Here's two. All right. Because it's so unusual for a chess player. Like usually, usually you're looking at the board, you're calculating lines, and maybe once in a while, like you look up and notice your opponent, but you definitely don't do it like so many times. Is she trying to tell her, like, telegraph something to her, like, look, this is boring, this is going to be a draw, why are you even trying to win? I don't know. But it's it's something that I would notice, because it's not typical at all between two players.
Yep.
But okay, let's go back to the moves. And the other issue I had with King F8, trying to bring in the king in, was that then there's Knight F6, and again you have trouble bringing in your king because there is some fork. So that's really like the issue here for Black, how to get this king into the game without allowing some kind of a fork. And maybe this is why I know one of the moves that's possible here is like Bishop E6 that the engine was giving. So the point of that is maybe to control that square. Now I'm getting it. So you want to go F5 and King F7, and then Knight F6 is not going to D7. That's a kind of a subtle move. And then White would have, I guess, a big choice here. And if you go Knight F6, I mean, I can go King G7, but I think I can also go King F8. And so, like, there's no fork kind of coming out. That seems quite reasonable to me. I mean, yeah, like, of course, White can try to create their own play. That's maybe what they should do. And I would say, like, if I had to make a prediction from this game, like, I would still say that, like, a draw.
A draw is quite likely, yeah?
Yeah, a draw is quite likely because, okay, it's a little bit worse for White, but it doesn't seem so deadly yet. And I think, like, you know, the precision that you would need to win is, like, you know, kind of like Magnus Carlsen, like, precision.
Against Vincent Keimer, maybe that game, yeah?
Yeah, like that precision and that level of determination. And I feel like, you know, she might just be like, okay, a draw with the black pieces, pretty easy from a better position is not a bad result. So she just went King F8. And so my issue with that was this. And now, I mean, I guess you could attack my knight from the other side. But, you know, if I go there, I guess you have B6. But what if I go here? Then you go back, and I go back. Oh, it's an interesting repetition that we've just fallen into.
Yeah, but I don't think Black will take it.
You can go
yeah.
up. You can go up, though. Yeah. You can go up. But I don't know. It just doesn't feel very clear to me. Like, I even have E4 here. Like, it kind of seems like White's making some progress. And Black King is stuck. This is not where we wanted him. We wanted him in the center, not on the king side. So I don't really see the attraction of this particular position for Black. So I don't know. I wouldn't say it's completely out of the realm of possibility that the game could end like this. I don't think it's completely impossible. But I agree that it's not more than like 50%. Like I would say maybe like, 30% chance that we could see that. I
Yeah.
wouldn't put $100,000 on that.
You wouldn't put it.
No, I would put a much smaller amount, like maybe 10,000.
Yeah, but that's not really impossible as well, yeah? There
Yeah.
might be a chance that things could go like that. And what about the other women's sport?
All right. So Anna and Tan are fighting for third place and an entry into the candidates tournament. Let's take a look. So Anna eventually wound up taking the pawn on d5, and we actually got into this type of endgame. But then she decided to give up the pawn just right away. I don't know, maybe she had some alternatives how to keep it, but she decided on this, and okay, for now, black is not taking the pawn. They're like focusing on development. And they're still not taking the pawn. Okay, let's try to understand what's going on. I guess it's the fork. That's the black idea. And white just played f3. So something about that looks a little weird, but maybe it's good. Although I see that the engine board didn't actually like it. It does feel weird, right? You're leaving some pieces unprotected. So let's see what we can do. Is it just something? Well, first of all, let's ask ourselves what you want. You want to play here and attack my bishop and trap my rook, right?
Yeah, but there's always bishop e7 here.
Yeah. So my first question is knight c2. Can I just go here? Because that's like my most tactical way of approaching this problem. And then, well, if you take, I take.
King f2.
Oh, she sacked the exchange. Okay, cool. What's that? Ah, knight c2 next. Yeah, sure. That's actually the most tactical way of approaching this, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Knight c2. So she wants the two pieces for the rook. And of course, Anna is not going to give her the bishop. So what's Anna going to do here?
Taking it on a7.
Or bishop c5, right?
Or bishop c5.
Bishop c5, though, on bishop c5, I have knight takes a1. And then I have actually knight takes b3. And I still have two pieces for the rook, and I will continue to have two pieces for the rook if you keep taking. And black actually gets a winning position here. So perhaps bishop c5 is not the best, and maybe we take the pawn instead.
And take on a1.
But of course, black has like, well, amazing compensation for these double pawns, right? Yeah, I don't really see the problem here for black at all. I mean, they get this pawn back, and really hard to imagine with a bishop here that these double pawns are going to matter much.
Right.
And there could be other moves, like maybe you're not even in a hurry to take this. Maybe you go, rook c8, for example. Maybe you go here and try to go for rook c2.
Yeah, the only thing about rook c8 is, I guess, bishop d4. You're saving the b2 pawn, and then the knight is standing better later.
Yeah, that's right. So I don't think I should do that. Should I go rook? Can I go rook d8, or there's that just unnecessary? Rook e8 is a move. But I guess you want to play here, yeah? So yeah, I guess this makes sense to me.
Yeah, just take.
Yeah. So looks like Tan is equalizing, and this f3 move, it just looked a bit suspicious, didn't it? It just felt wrong. What should she have done instead? That's the question. The problem with this move is that there's that. And then after you take something, you're going to be okay. So you can't really do that. So.
Or maybe a move like knight d2, and then slowly kick out the knight on b4 by playing a3. So you cannot take on b2 because there is rook ab1. So maybe some patience.
Yeah, I agree. Actually,
required.
this looks pretty good. This looks pretty good to me.
Yeah, and then a3 next.
Yeah, because, now you don't have the exchange sack. Completely different. Wow. So, it's interesting that, somehow, I really feel like Anna has been a bit shaky in some of these games that we've seen with the decision making, like also against Nergul in the tie break. Like, just, it's like, what I mean is like some kind of strange decisions, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, like, like once you look at your options and you realize, okay, my bishop's under attack and c2 is important, like, okay, you came up with this move and it's like, right, as soon as you see it, it just makes sense. right? Like, why not? I mean, what could be so bad about this move? Like, if they take here, it's kind of obvious that, like, white's going to get tons of play. You know, I mean, basically black is, like, barely holding on in this position. I mean, I can
Then
even
just
go...
bishop f3.
Yeah,
Or take on
or even maybe
b7.
take on b7 is an option. Right, I can take, but what else can I do here? I mean, I also have bishop c5 that needs to be looked at, right?
Yeah, bishop c4 looks
I mean,
really
I have
nice.
to calculate, but that's actually a move that you want to look at. Yeah, you take on d2. I think I can take on d2, or I can calculate this, but then you take, and then I take, and then you take,
And then f3.
and then okay, it does get a little tricky here, but it's mostly like the trick is like how big of an advantage is white going to have? Like, the doubt, we're never in doubt that white is doing fine. Like, if we want, we can just take this guy and, like, you know, and you know, take here and, like, okay, it's completely equal and no problems at all for white, right? So the question is just you know, calculating things like that. And then I think we were going to take.
What about taking on e4?
If you take on e4, yeah, so it's going to be kind of similar, right? So I have to take on d2.
Just take on b4 because it's back rank checkmate.
Back rank checkmate, yeah. I just win the exchange. Oh, wait, no. Is it not back rank checkmate?
Oh, there's bishop f8.
There's bishop f8, yeah. Oops. We thought we were winning, but we forgot about bishop f8. So hold on. So rook takes e4. I think I have to go for these positions. Or like, oh, wait, here. Here's the critical one. Could it be like I have to throw that move in? Because this one, if I take the bishop, which is obvious, like I wasn't sure what's going on here.
Or you could be just a simple move like bishop c5 back. You're threatening everything, actually. Bishop c5 now.
So you have two pieces for the rook for now, but you're saying that, like, because of this, yeah? Yeah, this bishop is trapped, yeah? And we win the exchange. Yeah, well, knight d2 was a nice try, you know, and I mean, I feel like you can do that move without too much calculation, because you actually don't need to calculate these lines, because you
already felt it, yeah? It's just wrong.
Yeah, it's more like black needs to calculate them. Black needs to make sure they're not, like, completely lost in this position. Like, it's pretty obvious that white risks nothing. So the fact that she went for f3 and allowed rook e4 and knight c2 is because it's like you're giving your opponent such a forcing option. You know, why? Why go for this position where your opponent has, like, quite obvious compensation? So it's strange. I think she's kind of, well, okay, she must be very tired. It's been, you know, such a long tournament. I think it actually explains a lot of things why maybe the players are not playing their best by the time they're on to the final matches.
Yep. Yeah. They're here for almost 4 weeks.
Yeah. And, you know, the stress of the tie breaks, like tie break day takes so much out of you. So, all right, here we are. And by the way, you know, she had to play a tie break while Tan had a couple of days off to prepare in order to just get some rest. So let's go to our most interesting matchup of the day, Magnus Carlsen versus NIJAT ABASOV. We last saw this position when f4 was on the board. And how did ABASOV react? So he played, 1 second, he took the pawn. And after knight takes f6, bishop takes f6, queen takes e6, king b8, queen takes f6, bishop c8, rook d to e1. Okay, trying to go to rook e7. So ABASOV does not have an extra pawn anymore, but he does have still a really terrible pawn structure on the queen side. And, okay, I don't know if Magnus's move queen e3 was the best. But I guess he didn't like that. Maybe because of knight g5. So he went to e3. Rook e6, then he went to d2. So he's planning to capture with the queen. It feels unpleasant
It is.
for black, despite the fact that like the engine bar doesn't completely hate black's position, but I can feel how unpleasant it would be to actually play this. Because, you know, the h-pawn, it's not going to be so easy to use. So, like, let's say here,
And you cannot move the knight because
cannot
of
move
bishop
the knight.
e5.
king is perpetually weak. Well, hold on. Maybe you have some checks you can use. But the funny thing is, even if you give me a check, I just go to b1. Most likely. I could go to c2, but let's try b1. And maybe I can just like hide my king on a1 for like complete peace of mind.
And now rook f1 is the threat, yeah? Yep.
So the difference in this position, it's the safety of the kings, right? That this king and this king, they're not quite the same. And we still have bishops of opposite colored on the boards and and the queens as well. So, I mean, I feel like Magnus has got decent chances to win this game. ABASOV has how much time? He's got less than 20 minutes for 14 moves. Okay, he's not like in terrible time trouble.
Yeah, but he needs to start playing faster. So what about knight g5 in this position?
So knight g5, you're trying to like make sure my knight can't move because of knight f3, right? It's interesting. What if I take and go knight g6?
Take in knight g6, yeah.
Yeah, like something like that. Like I take, you take, and then knight g6. Now I have a sneaky little threat. It's the way I want to win the game, always with that skewer.
Yeah.
But also, like, if you move your knight here, I was thinking we could take an h6 and just be up a pawn. And I don't know. It didn't look like this was a lot of fun for black either. So let's go back. And this is the position on the board. NIJAT is still thinking.
Could it be he's considering to exchange the queen instead of the rook? So probably play queen f4 instead of rook e1.
Ah, okay. Queen f4. There's no way I can take advantage of that. Maybe like rook f1. You take, I take. You know, even there, you're under some pressure, you know?
Yeah, I mean, white is better
Interesting move,
here.
though. Interesting move, queen f4. So, like, if I go here, or do you have, like, rook h4?
No.
No, because I just played queen takes f4, and I'm up in exchange. Okay. Here and here, well, it still feels unpleasant. Your rooks don't really have any checks, but you can try that. And there is, of course, a hope that you can get your rooks to the second. Okay, we got to move on the board.
What did he play? Some knight move. Knight e5.
Knight e5. That is like knight g5, but I guess you're putting more pressure on d3. Seems a little strange, right? Seems a little strange. And I'm not sure, like, the rook trade was a big question. Like, maybe black needed to get one pair of rooks off the board because, you know, white is still the attacking side. So obviously one move that we're not going to be playing is giving up our bishop for the knight. Because then I think if you make that trade, you just like,
Yeah.
you know, you lose a large chunk of your advantage. Even though, I mean, you can consider it because it looks like you're winning a pawn.
but it will take some time for the knight to join the game, yeah?
Yeah.
So it is a tricky decision to make. And
yeah,
I think,
knight is the problem.
yeah, black has the full compensation for this.
Yeah, so he's not going to go for that, Magnus. Magnus, I think, has, you know, the intuition to, like, not even really look at moves like that seriously, I think. But this knight can't move, because if we move him, the fork here is quite unpleasant. So this is actually an interesting move, rook e3. So you're basically guarding the pawn and that square, and you want to move your knight to f5. And maybe you even want to go queen e2. In some positions, right? You never know, something like that.
Yep.
So queen e3, rook e3 I like a lot, and I wonder what ABASOV would do on that. I wonder, because like the knight requires protection, that's the problem. You put him. That's what I guess what intuitively felt a little off about this move is that you're putting your knight on a square where he requires pieces to babysit him, you know, and they're kind of tied down now. So
Yep, you can even double the rook maybe, and then try to exchange this knight on h4 with the knight on e5. Yeah, rook e3. I
it looks
like this move.
awkward. It does look awkward. No, I want to go queen e2 and just
queen
put you
e2
in
even, yeah.
put you into a pin that you're not going to be able to get out of. Now, we call that pinning the tail on the donkey. Yeah.
So what if I do, let's say queen, oh, I was thinking queen e7, but there's knight f5 maybe?
No, yeah. No, I mean, it's starting, like, I feel like black is in a position where it's
Almost
starting
lose,
to
yeah.
get difficult to make moves, actually.
Knight f5.
Yeah, you're threatening my knight, huh?
Also, I'm threatening knight d3.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I'm not. No, I was preparing for queen e2, but...
Yeah, but knight f5
knight
is
f5
better.
is,
But yeah, queen e2, maybe soon. Queen h2 is also an idea. It depends on where you go. So, like,
Yeah,
let's say
yeah.
you go here. Let's say you go here. How are we going to win now? You want my knight. You got this guy under attack. Well, the simple move for me would be... Okay, wait. I have a lot of moves, right? Like, this one I think just wins a pawn. There, I win a pawn. I don't know if that's the best, though. I mean, it seems like a playable move. And Magnus went for something else, though.
For king.
Yeah,
King c2.
King c2, which I don't like that nearly as much as that. That was such a powerful rook move.
And NIJAT play king b7 instantly.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. Get out of that diagonal. But, I mean, just think about it like rook e3, how much more powerful that was. Because then if they go king b7, I think just queen e2 already looks very unpleasant, but maybe there's some way you can hold this. Maybe you just go rook g5. Yeah, probably. I mean, how else can we defend? You got to defend the knight and the rook. There's like apparently some other move here, but it's not obvious what that would be.
Yeah. Could it be taking on d3 and then queen f4?
Oh. I think so.
Knight d3, queen
Something
d3.
like that. Ah, that's a nice tactic. Oh, that really shows what Magnus was afraid of. Yep. You're attacking the rook and the knight. You're going to get the knight. Ah, okay. So there was some hidden tactics in the position. And that's why he wants to get out of that. He plays king c2. All right. King b7 on the board. And Magnus is thinking again. So does he have rook e3 here?
Rook e3, possible.
Yeah, rook e3. And there's a line that goes like this. Queen here. Knight f5 and queen g5. Hitting that knight.
And you cannot take on e5 because of rook g2, yeah?
Well, if you take here, am I going to play rook g2 right away? Or am I going to take first? If I go here, am I just winning the queen? Or is there some fancy stuff? Let's try that.
Oh, knight d6.
Yeah, we have knight d6, but what's the end result of this position? That white's going to be a bit
Just
better.
extra pawn, maybe.
Extra pawn. Here, here, here. And what's going on here?
Just rook h8 and rook g8, or check and then rook g7, something like that. Just
You think we're still better, yeah? Like
Might
we
be
might get
because-
some sort of attack against this king.
yeah, because of the c5, not the attack. It's just
Yeah.
taking all the pawns.
But okay. It's not a very clear line. Let's go back. Yeah, he might play. If Magnus plays rook e3, he might find this kind of activation of the queen. It looks, because it actually looks very tempting for
Yeah.
black. Yeah. Like I would say that the line, it actually appears more scary for white, because white is the one who has to like figure out if he's losing his queen or not. And meanwhile, black can also have just, played rook takes e5. He doesn't even have to go for rook g2. All right, Magnus is about to play a move. I feel like he's not super comfortable.
He played rook e3.
Yeah, he played rook e3, but I feel like he's something about this position, like it's not like he exudes a ton of confidence about his position, right? Like it almost feels like he kind of recognizes that things were not quite as good as he had hoped they would be. That's my feeling.
Yep. But I'm sure he sensed that he was better, like way
Yeah.
better before, but then not sure what went wrong
What
in the
went
position.
wrong? Yeah, interesting. All right, let's go to Fabi versus Prague, because that was a fascinating one. And so after rook takes b8, Prague thought here for a while, and he did eventually capture with the rook, and Fabi did go for knight a5, and we were saying that this move was really hard for Prague to find, and he did not do it, right? So, okay, e takes d4, and then I think knight c6 is what we wanted to do, and that's what happened.
Oh no, we can refresh that line.
Yeah, I think that's what
Oh, yeah,
happened.
that's what happened.
Yeah,
Knight c5.
c6, knight c5. Yeah, we didn't look at that. We were kind of looking at like the different rook moves. We didn't look at the intermediate move, knight c5. So queen takes d4. Yeah, he forces him to take with the queen instead of taking with the pawn. And then he goes rook a8. Yeah, of course it's kind of passive, but it does save the bishop.
And queen d5 is on the board.
Yeah, a5, queen e8, and queen d5. So what can we say about this position there? Move 25, 15 moves to make. I would say there is some time trouble going on here for both sides, right? And it also feels like white's got the initiative here. I mean, obviously, maybe it's not clear cut, but there's really no doubt that white is the one who's pressing, right? Because you can barely move. You can't move your rook. You can't move your queen because of the discovery. I have ideas of e5. I mean, it feels like it's actually quite dangerous, like unless black has like very specific moves to get out of this.
Yeah, it's definitely looking pleasant for Fabiano in this position to play, even though the default bar shows that it is roughly equal. Yeah, but I could tell that you have space advantage, you have time advantage, and also it's quite clear for white to do. You have knight d4, for example, or some idea like knight e7, knight f5 even.
Yeah, I mean, there's a crazy line that starts with knight d3, and that kind of just shows you that that's the kind of stuff that black has to rely on to keep the balance here. So you're attacking the rook. Okay, if I take you, then you take me, then on c6, then okay. Then I can see why black is doing okay. So obviously we don't want to trade the knights. And if also you're attacking that pawn, And, you know, there's forks. So knight d3, I think he will find it because, okay, you know, it's basically based on a simple deflection, which I think he'll spot. And he doesn't have a whole lot of other active moves. And now there's a move like that. And now you have to decide where to move your king. You know, intuitively, you kind of want to go to h8 away from the checks, right? Because if you go to h7, I take you, then there's some sort of discovery.
Yeah,
he
did
does
it.
play knight d3. You know, also just lack of options. And I'm pretty sure he saw this from way in advance.
Knight e7, yeah, of course. These two players must have seen it. And I think king h8 should
King
be on the
h8,
board, yeah?
right? So, well, he's going to think.
King
Yeah,
h8.
king
yeah.
h8. And now, again, if we take the knight, you take our knight, I still can't take your pawn because the bishop takes f2. So that would be equal. So we might have to give up like this, just to double your pawns and then play this position. And, you know, yeah, making you capture that way is definitely a little bit of a gain for me. But maybe it's not such a big deal.
Yeah,
Oh, he doesn't even
doesn't
go
even
for
go.
that. He doesn't even bother. So Fabi obviously didn't think that those doubled g-pawns meant anything. And he just goes for queen d3 right away. And queen e7 on the board. Well, the only issue with black's position here, I think, is this pawn. But he can also, like, play his bishop out to c5 pretty soon to guard it. I mean, I don't really see white having a ton to work with here. What do you think, Irene?
no, this bishop on a7, this dark square bishop is a very good compensation for the weakness of a6 pawn. So, yeah, no real advantage for white, to be honest. Yeah.
I mean, I think the problem is that black's bishop still can be very powerful on the diagonal. So I was looking at like queen d5, right? But then you just go rook b8. And so when I come in with my queen to pressure this pawn, just in time, well, you don't have rook b2 yet because of queen a8. But you can go here. And when I take the pawn, you are in time to get this counterplay, I think.
Yep. Yeah, the bishop is just too strong. And meanwhile, Fabiano played g3.
All right, so bishop c5 is like one of the obvious moves. Another move is queen e6. And that's pretty much it. There's no real other move because you know you can't move your rook without losing the a6 pawn.
Yeah, and if white is not careful, I think, I don't know, I have a feeling this bishop will create something. F2 is, of course, the target of attack at any time soon. Probably like this bishop c5, rook b8, rook b2. So maybe the best way to stop it is to play rook b8, rook b1. Just to go to the endgame where it's queen and knight versus queen and bishop.
Well, let's try bishop c5, right? That way we kind of want to go with this plan. But the thing is that white always can try to try this tricky move e5.
I can ignore, yeah?
You can ignore. I don't know how much of a threat this is. And that. Maybe it's not much of a threat. So you can ignore, like, what do you want to do? King g8 or?
I still like rook b8.
You like rook b8. So you basically don't care about this pawn. But I don't know. Okay. Sometimes I have knight d4 there. If you go rook b8, what if I go,
Just
taking,
queen a6, yeah?
I take it.
Yeah, probably.
Because the problem is with rook b2, first of all, there's rook e2, which is already an issue.
Maybe just queen a8, queen e4,
Yeah,
and then rook e2.
sure.
Or rook e2 immediately, yeah?
Yeah. So he has to be careful about that. What did he go with? He already made his move. He went for bishop c5.
Yeah, he went for bishop
Okay.
c5.
So I think, I think there's a decent chance we're going to see e5 on the board because it's like white's main active idea. Like, if you move the knight, there's likely going to be a trade. And likely you know, black will be okay here. So I feel like he needs to keep the imbalance and try to do something with e5. And then, yeah, I mean, you're right that there's not necessarily like a big threat coming. Right, so maybe just like some move like king g8. Yeah. I don't really see too big of a problem here for black at the moment. But by the way, Magnus's game, let's go back. After rook e3, queen e7 did happen. We're going into that line. Knight f5, queen g5, and bishop takes e5. So he took with the bishop.
So we calculated rook takes e5, yeah? Rook takes
Yeah, we
e5,
only looked at rook
G2.
takes e5. So now what can black do? Well, black has a lot of moves. Black can take here. Seems kind of interesting. Black can also play rook g2, rook e2, trade, and then take. That seems quite okay. Yeah, I'm
Well-
actually not sure what Magnus is going to have at the end of this line. Because he's actually stuck in this kind of unpleasant pin. He has to go rook e1 to save the bishop. But there really is like nothing here, right? Because he's not even close to getting an attack on the king on b7. I mean, if this pawn gets to h3, maybe black can think about playing for a win.
Wow. Yeah, so NIJAT finally got his way through. I actually admire this move with the bishop a6 and then king b8, bishop c8. Yeah, try to use the bishop again and come back into play. And now he gets some chance to balance the position.
By the way, Fabiano actually plays the move knight d4 that I was thinking was not like really that likely because of bishop takes. And is Prague still thinking? I think he is. Okay, so he's probably thinking what's going on here. Obviously, c takes is the point, right? Because, I mean, if you take with the queen, like, I would think that rook b8 would be the first thing to look at. Maybe it's not, but it would be the first thing I would look at. I just have to, you have to figure this out, right? Like, do we have enough activity here or not? Because I was hoping we would after queen f6. Because I'm also hitting that pawn.
Yeah, but the idea is, rook e2, and then you have this a pawn, the passer.
Yeah, and
So
I
maybe
have ideas against
Queen
your
c8,
king.
queen f5, maybe? And then e5. Or maybe not.
e5, there's maybe a check.
King h3. So I think the king is quite safe over there.
So e5, you're trying to mate me, basically. You want to use the back rank. I mean, yeah, it's tricky. e5. Let's see. I go there, and you
King
go
h3.
here.
And you have to come back to b8, I guess. Where else will your rook go?
Yeah. I mean, most likely this is still a draw, right? Like rook b8. But by the way, we got some moves in Carlsen.
So rook goes to
versus-
h5.
Yeah. So they went into this position. And he decides to protect the bishop instead of rook e1, rook h5, which is understandable. Because at least that pawn is blockaded, right? So pretty much any normal move, I think, works here for black, right? You can go queen g6. You can go queen f7. They both seem okay.
Yep.
So what do we think about this game? I think it's going to finish in a draw, most likely.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, now it's very. I think it's relatively easy for black to handle this position compared to
Yeah,
before.
and I think it's that's quite a successful result for NIJAT,
Mm-hmm.
who faced a powerful novelty in the opening. Objectively got a worse position, so Carlsen's novelty did work out. And then he gets a draw without even too many problems. I would say that's a very, very confident way to start the match for NIJAT.
Yep, and especially tomorrow, NIJAT will be playing with white pieces. So, yeah, I think a draw is already like a successful result for today's game.
Yeah. Well, we also have Prague deciding to not actually go for the bishop versus knight trade. He went for queen to d7. So he's putting some faith in this bishop over the knight. Queen d7, do you even understand that move? Is he trying to go to a4? What is he trying to do with the queen? Because if I go with my queen here, what exactly do you want?
That is a good question. Yeah, where does this queen go after this?
I mean, maybe he's still going to take on d4, right? But then, then I take cd, and
It would be.
yeah.
So queen c4 is on the board.
Yep. Fabi, I mean, it was
But why do you think black
wants to take it.
wants to take it? It's
Why do I think he wants to take it? Because, I guess because I was afraid, like, of the knight coming here at some point, or even the queen coming in. Like, I just kind of thought that maybe, king g2. Like, I felt like eventually the bishop will get kind of irrelevant, so, like, this trade makes sense. Like, I think eventually you have to take a knight like that. This knight actually controls a lot of squares, right? You still can't really move your rook. Your queen is now limited, so I just feel like, well, what else can you do other than take the knight and try to hold the heavy piece endgame? And that's the question. Is like, maybe he should have just done it immediately, Because now, okay, now the white queen is going to be a little bit more active than on the previous move, right? Like, it's basically in its perfect position on c4. Now, is there some move like c5, pawn takes, but there's no rook c8, right? Because I'm still going to be taking on a6.
yeah. I think after c5 you can just play rook b1. You're allowing this, and then rook b6 there.
So what's wrong with taking on c5, though? All right,
King
so Prague,
g8.
Prague is holding off on this. He doesn't want to go for the trade right away. He just goes king g8. Okay, that makes sense, too. So, yeah, I mean, I do see white at some point playing a move like that, because it's just a good square for the king. Fabi
I
looks
think-
very concentrated.
I think you shouldn't put the king on g2 because e4 is going to be I don't know, like black will keep an eye on e4. So maybe it's the time for rook b1.
And what do you want to do with that move?
Actually, good question. Maybe queen d5.
Yeah.
Queen d5
Queen
and then
d5, yeah?
and rook b7. I don't know, just slowly trying to get into.
I mean, queen d5, like, I can always go for the trade and, like, maybe play c6. Even, right? So queen d... Oh, sorry. Not yet. Not yet. You're attacking my rook, so I cannot go for the trade. Queen d5, maybe then just rook b8, because you're not attacking my pawn anymore.
Yeah, so exactly. This is trying to prevent
Yeah.
by playing rook b1 first.
Yeah. So you're trying to go rook b1, but that kind of leaves your... That kind of leaves this pawn a bit unattended. Maybe queen g4 even?
And now queen d5.
Queen d5 and then just rook e8. I feel like it's all going okay as we switched our attention to that pawn. Yeah, I mean, actually, Prague not making the trade, it does make the game more interesting, doesn't it? There's more tension in the position for sure, like when this is still kind of a mismatch here.
Right.
Yeah, so
And also going to the end game of two major pieces like that is going to be tricky for black because white has more space advantage, even though it's roughly again equal, but it's easier to play with white.
let's take a quick look at Garyachkina versus Salimova. So we saw this back around here, king f8. So not that many moves have been played. So she played knight f6. b6 got played. f4, yes, important idea. King g7, knight e8. King f8, knight f6. Oh, I think they're heading for a repetition.
Ooh.
So how many times have they repeated the position already? So it's been, so king g7, that's once, and that's twice. It's only 2 times for this
Okay.
position. Yeah, so they're, but I think, look, I don't think Garyachkina has that much to play for.
Yeah, I think she's gonna go for it.
Yeah.
I think she also feels that black is standing a little better in this position, but very, very little.
Yeah, look at where she's looking again. like it's her move. It's her move. Instead of maybe she's calculating in her head. Maybe she's not actually looking at her opponent.
No,
Yeah.
she's not looking at her opponent.
Yeah,
She's looking
that
away,
one
actually.
was actually more of a look of calculation without the board. Yeah, because that was just about to be surprised again. You know, because it's even her turn here, right?
So we might actually see the first result of the day soon. If I'm sure if Garyachkina repeats this knight e8, black will play king f8 instantly. Because a draw with black pieces is already quite successful for Salimova.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, actually, in a way, both of them can be happy with this game ending in a draw. Like, the opening was, I think they're both going to be, like, quite shocked going over their game with the engine to see, to see that opening part where Salimova just kind of gave up a 2-pawn advantage, 2 pawns to Garyachkina, and Garyachkina didn't take the second pawn, and eventually Salimova got the better end game, but Garyachkina seems to have held on without too many problems. She definitely is confident in her skills defending endgames. I noticed that about her. Like, she's quite willing. She defended the worst endgame against Tan. She obviously was quite happy in her better endgame against Harika, where she needed just a draw to go through. And again, here, she kind of makes a draw without any problems.
Yep, and I think white just has to play another move, knight f6, and they can just agree with a draw because it's a 3-fold repetition. And I think Garyachkina is reaching it. Knight f6 is on the
so
board.
king g7 is now going to be a 3-move repetition. They've passed move 30. Let's just watch them agree to the draw.
Yes, so it's
Yeah.
a draw. We have our first result in the final of the women's section. Alexander Garyachkina drew against Nurgul Salimova.
Yeah, so tomorrow Garyachkina is going to have black. She's won some nice games with black in this tournament. Most memorable one was the recent win against Han Zhangyi. And I guess neither of them can be too unhappy with the result of this game. So, Salimova could have just been down 2 pawns out of the opening, right? So for her to get a draw is not bad. But Garyachkina also just getting kind of a worse endgame and holding without any problems is also not bad. So what is Salimova's live rating? I just saw her
I'm
over
trying.
there.
I'm trying.
I know.
to
I saw
find.
her on there. Just scroll down a bit. She's
No,
this is just her player history. Yeah. Okay. So meanwhile, let's take a look at just a quick look, very quick, at what's going on between Anna and Tan, because this is not the most scintillating position. Anna has an extra pawn, bishops of opposite color. This pawn is currently hanging. Yeah, I don't really expect her to torture Tan too much in this position. I do think it'll be a draw somehow. Meanwhile,
Oh, you were asking about Salimova's position. She has gained 19 elo points so far before this game.
I see me. I lost almost 10 points at this tournament. Yeah. Can you imagine playing 4 games and losing losing 10 points? Despite the fact that it didn't feel so disastrous, but it's because I split the match with a much lower rated player in the first match, and then only one in tiebreak. So for classical, it's quite harmful to do that.
Yep.
And then I also lost another game against Polina Shuvalova. So yeah, that makes sense. All right, let's take a look at Caruana and Prague. Okay, because Prague is getting low on time, and Caruana did just play King G2. Starting to
Ooh.
feel a little nervous for Prague. I mean, only 3 minutes for 9 moves.
Yeah. So okay, Pragnanandhaa is definitely in time trouble right now. 10 moves actually, because Black hasn't met the
Yeah. 10
31st.
moves, yeah.
10 moves for Pragnanandhaa in 3 minutes. Can he do that? He has to.
Yeah, and he just played
Rook
a rather
A7.
strange move, Rook A7. Yeah, so, because he's not willing to go in for the heavy piece endgame. I don't know, he's starting to play some weird moves like that. Now with the rook so weird, we actually have your move Rook B1 that you've been wanting to make.
Yeah, it is now natural to play Rook B1, yeah, because there's a direct hit on B8. Or maybe he will move back Rook A8,
Yeah, Rook A8, but now you've kind of let me improve, right?
Yeah, I don't know why Rook A7 was chosen by Pragnanandhaa.
After Queen G4, well, what's funny is, of course I have F3, right? But I was, even thinking, Rook C7, Queen E4, and then F3, because you don't have a single check. I mean, I'm not going to do that. I think just, let's keep it simple and play that. But
I think just knight moves, it's better.
Knight F5 or something?
Knight F5, yeah, because you're attacking many things now.
Yeah, that looks pretty powerful. And this one would not be so clear. Yeah, there's no real reason to give up the pawn, because you can still figure out a way to guard F7, yeah? Like Queen E8. Or Queen G6, and the game kind of continues. Yeah, so... But very strange move by Prague, right?
Yeah, Rook A7.
Low on time and playing this just... It feels artificial, right? Usually moves like that get punished.
So the question now is whether Fabiano can punish.
Yeah, well, I
Black
mean,
or
I
not.
do think he's going to play Rook B1. I even kind of failed to see the point of this move. Can we try to understand it? What's he trying to do? Because, I mean, it's not like that's the idea. That still hangs the pawn. How do you even understand the move Rook A7? It just looks so strange. And it's funny that he was in general, so unwilling to even, look at this position, yeah? I mean, I guess the problem is, this pawn is, he thinks, he's going to be very passive here, yeah?
Yep, and Rook B1 is on the board. Very natural move by Fabiano. I fail to see a better move here than going back to A8, actually.
Yeah, over here, by the way, maybe C5 could have been interesting, because Queen C6, and we actually can pile up on the pawn and win it back. So I think we actually could make it equality like that.
Or what if I play Queen D5?
Queen D5, maybe I just take on C5.
And then Rook C1, and then you play Rook C8. I think it's a little bit better, I guess, for me, yeah?
You want to play here?
But it should be close to draw. And then King F3.
So I go here
right.
first.
Or D6 or King F3, either one.
So if I go King F8, you go
D7, yeah.
D7, and you get your rook to attack that pawn. But this is still a draw, right?
Yeah.
Still a draw. Actually, I can go here. I don't even give up that pawn.
That's true.
I just guard it. I mean, you kind of intuitively look for salvation with the heavy piece endgames, right? So I do think he's really playing with fire here, with this Rook A7 move and Queen E8, because he has to feel that he's kind of giving up the harmony, right? I mean, does he want to go C6 and Rook E7? But I mean, looks strange.
Okay, so now after queen e8, e4 is under attack. How do you defend this pawn? Queen d5 or knight f5
Yeah, you have a lot of moves. Yeah, queen d5, knight f5.
or even f3?
Yeah. Actually, not an easy choice for Fabi because all of these moves look pretty tempting.
Mm-hmm.
So which ones do we want to try? Knight f5, I'm kind of afraid that it's not doing much there. Like knight f5. Yeah, I mean, you might need to go like rook a8 anyway. Maybe then h5 and g6 and kick out the knight.
Yeah, that's possible. But after rook a8, I might have rook b7.
So you like knight f5, yeah? There's also like, yeah, I mean, there's queen d5, but then I always feel like maybe we have to consider that black can go into this trade, right? Even though Prague has like not really shown an interest in taking this knight, but it's still possible. So I guess as white, like I would be kind of inclined to move the knight away. The question is where? Where would I want this knight? I mean, I kind of agree that that looks very sensible. There's also like something like that. Maybe coming even, I don't know, to d5.
Or even knight f3 and then push e5. There's also another idea. Yeah, white definitely has plenty of options here.
Yeah. But okay. I mean, probably knight f5 would be the move, yeah? But I you know, on this position, I wouldn't make any bets at all, right? I have no confidence in what Fabi is going to go for. Like, I just think there's too many options, and there's not like one clearly tempting one. Yeah.
Yep. Let's update ourselves on the game between Magnus versus NIJAT.
Okay. So is Magnus kind of maintaining any kind of an edge here? Queen h2, wow, was apparently a seriously bad move, but I think it went unpunished.
Oh, let's figure out.
All right, let's figure out why Queen
Why is it,
h2 was
yeah.
so bad. I mean, well, first of all, something, I mean, maybe to do with this e2 square, right? Like, there must be something happening, you know, with maybe this rook moving and bishop g4. Maybe rook e7. Okay, not obvious, but hold on. Maybe queen f3 as well, because you can't take the pawn because of queen e2 in the end, winning the bishop. So maybe queen e2, queen f3 is like a very powerful move, because I'm pinning your bishop, and like not much in your position sort of moves, actually. I think so. I don't know. That was my thinking, but actually that's not the right one.
I think just simply
Yeah.
pull your rook back to e7 and use this bishop f5 idea. You just want
But
to
then I
activate
can take
this.
on h6, you know.
Yeah,
No, I
it's
see. It's funny because like the idea was right, but the execution is wrong, because I see it's actually queen f1. Somehow queen f3, you still have this defense, and then you can come back over here and kind of get it, block the e-file. But I guess on this move, oh, you don't have it because, well, first of all, there's rook e5. If you try that, there's rook e5. So my point with this move is, okay, your bishop is pinned. You can't take the pawn. You can't move anything. You can't really move the queen to most places because of that. And then maybe I want to go rook e7. Like after I've like completely pinned you. Or even this.
Yeah, that looks like.
Wow, so
very
Magnus
good
actually kind of blundered big, but his opponent didn't find it. How long did he think before playing rook g6? It's kind of interesting.
I think he has to move fast here because
Yeah, so rook g6 on the board.
a mere like a minute. Oh, actually, if 40 seconds. To
40
be
seconds on rook g6. Like, wow. It's not a lot of thinking. So bishop f4 by Magnus. So Magnus wasn't interested in taking the pawn because he thinks it's going to be a draw. Okay. He doesn't want to trade the rook. So I think Magnus is still trying to win. Goes bishop f4. Maybe he wants that pawn. Rook f6. Bishop e3. So he's actually a bit better because I think he can win that pawn and control f2. And somehow NIJAT is... at least he's going to be down a pawn now. I mean, of course, he's really counting on that play against d3. But, like, okay, let's say Magnus takes. As dangerous as that looks. I mean, actually, well, I guess the thing is, you know, if you're Magnus and you have to calculate this, you know what the really good news is? That first of all, I mean, yeah, you can probably take it and win. But even if you couldn't take it, like, you sort of know, like, okay, in the worst case, I sort of have these ideas, right? But I do think, yeah, I do think you can get away with taking it. Like, something like rook f3, king c2, and sort of the king runs, and everything is guarding each other. So I think that's another point, that even if Magnus loses this pawn, his king would be extremely safe on a3. And this king, meanwhile, like, having lost c5...
Yep.
And this pawn not going anywhere, and one day I'll capture it. Actually, maybe we just saw like a turning point. Maybe Magnus is managing to trick him.
That could be the case, yes.
It would be so typical Magnus. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, he goes through some risk, right? There was enormous risk, but he was trying not to trade the pieces. He's kept the rooks on the board, and I think this game will finish with an eventual attack on the black king.
Right, and he just took on c5. So yeah, he's not worried about this sacrifice on d3 at all. And wow, so it means NIJAT just missed the moment when
He could have beaten him.
He could
It
have.
was like
yeah.
a -3 advantage. Wow.
He played it too fast, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, played too fast. He didn't feel that Magnus had overstepped. Okay, let's see what NIJAT does now. I mean, he's going to probably move either the queen or the rook somewhere.
Yep.
He goes queen g6.
Six.
Okay. And now, basically, I think we can go for this idea of just like moving the king away. Because the d3 pawn's not that important, and I'm starting to feel like our pieces can get to the black king. So let's take a look,
Yeah,
right?
King B2, I like this move.
Yeah, if we give away the pawn.
And rook e5 maybe now.
Oh, okay. I got to tell you, there's some amazing tactic here. Like, rook e5 is, yeah, it's nice, but white can already win the game.
Really?
Yeah. Why don't you try to find it?
Okay. Oh, is it bishop a7?
Very good. Yeah, look at that. That's beautiful, isn't it?
Queen c7, rook a5. Wow.
That's a beautiful invasion. Total destroying the black king. I can't believe that he's going to win this. You know? It just took a few minutes. Going from losing to winning like that. I mean, it's very easy. I mean, okay, maybe NIJAT doesn't have to take the pawn, but if you think about it, then he's in serious trouble because then the pawn just moves. Like, white's king is safer. He's got an extra pawn, and black is going to be, like, I think in just really bad shape. So things are looking very bad here for NIJAT.
It's true.
Yeah.
And if bishop g4, then now you just play rook e5, yeah?
I mean, just look at this position a couple of moves ago, right? This moment, queen h2, the big blunder, and somehow the rook was good here, right? There was no need to move the rook. It was just activate this queen. They can't take your pawn. What can they even do? Like, the bishop doesn't move and the rook doesn't move. Like, two pieces just are paralyzed. Plus, you're even attacking this one for good measure. And you basically have a mating attack, right? Like, wow, the power of that move was kind of enormous. I mean, I guess they have to move their queen because it's like their only piece that just can be moved. And then the rook can also come down to g1 with threats queen b1. Yeah, so Magnus was going to be getting attacked here. Instead, Instead, his opponent played rook f6. Wait.
And yeah, oh, he's played king c3 instead of b2.
Oh, wait. Let's get this updated. Okay. Oh, he played king c3 instead of
And
king
rook
b2.
e6,
Rook e6, okay. So, wait.
Oh, you just want to go to b4?
So, wait,
maybe?
isn't bishop a7 still possible?
No, you don't have rook a5.
But I have queen a5 winning this guy.
Queen a6.
Oh, sorry.
King a6.
But maybe I can mate you, you know? Like, I mean, you're coming up with a king. So if this happens,
King takes.
queen in,
King a6.
king a6. Now, like, you're really pinned. Your bishop can't move. I mean, do I have some beautiful checkmate with, like, b4?
Yeah, there's queen c3, maybe, and rook e5. I don't know. Queen queen f6. What am I
Queen
talking about?
f6, king b3.
Also, your rook is hanging. Let me actually
Yeah, the rook
think.
is hanging. I know. But
No, I
was
just
thinking,
take it. I just take it.
you
After
just
before,
take
there's
it,
nothing.
You just
yeah.
take it and I play a4.
Ooh.
I just want to see if I can get that checkmate with my pawns. Okay, he's not going for it, but that, maybe his move is perfectly good, but this one, I mean, we got to look at that, right, and see what, oh, maybe we just missed queen f2. Oh, that's what we missed, just queen f2.
Just
Yeah.
queen f2, yeah.
Yeah, it's a different idea. Okay. Yeah, this one was actually not so clear. Yeah, like this one, but still, actually still winning. Still winning because we
C5.
threatened that.
There's
Yeah.
C5. So, wow. So, Magnus has a few winning choices.
Yeah, it's actually too bad that he missed it because it's such a beautiful move, right? Like really destroying those dark squares. And then this position, well, it would have been just easily winning.
Yep.
I mean, you're up like 2 pawns and their king is completely open. Wow, that's a big miss. He's not going to be happy with that.
No, he's not. He's not. And
I feel like, oh, I don't know, like an informed Magnus should see that move, right? I mean, because you kind of, it's like such a big idea, both with that. I mean, like even if you don't see queen f2, which is a little, like we didn't see that either, right? But still, like you want to spend more time like exploring this position because it looks like it could be something, right?
all right. So, probably.
And king a8, by the way, there's queen a5, and I still win the bishop. So it's basically like that's it. And they would just would have ended.
So, maybe there's something that he didn't like, but I failed to see because after, let's say, okay, rook e6,
Yeah.
bishop takes, if there's any check, you can just pull it back to d4.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's right. All right. Well, that's a surprising miss for Magnus. I think he'll be kind of kicking himself for that one. I mean, it's like a big miss, you know. Rook h4 just doesn't have nearly the same punch.
Yep, and the rook is actually standing very well on the fifth
Yeah,
rank.
it was because now it's a lot harder to do these ideas, right? Well, maybe he still hopes to do it and use the 4th rank, you know.
But that's now a little bit hard because there's queen f6 and forking the rook on h4 as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, like now NIJAT can go like here and try to push the pawn and even trap in the rook. Man, it's such a big miss. I don't know how he psychologically is going to handle, like maybe he's even realized. Do you think he's kind of realized? I mean, he's looking calm, but yeah, letting that not, I mean, it's like just a 2-move tactic, right? Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Magnus is not going to be happy with that. Rook h4, and if he doesn't win this game,
Yep.
you know, he will know what mistake caused it. But on the other hand, he also could have lost, right? So, but here's the thing, though. I gotta say that queen f1 for NIJAT to find was a lot harder than for Magnus to find that. A lot harder. Like NIJAT didn't really know. Like he wasn't actually winning. You know, and he got that opportunity kind of unexpectedly. So he didn't know it was there. And it's still pretty tricky, right? But Magnus, for the last couple of moves, like he kind of knows it's gone his way. Like he won the pawn on c5. Black's king is getting weaker. So he actually doesn't even have that excuse, right? That he didn't know there was something there because you can feel the trend has been going in White's direction.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, now There are about, hang on. Okay, one more move for Magnus to make to the time control, and 2 more moves for NIJAT. And meanwhile, on the other game, I think they're on time trouble right now, especially for PRAGGNANANDHAA.
Wow. So what do you want us to do?
I don't know.
How do we handle this one? Because this is super interesting, and they're about to make time control, right? But okay, let's go to this. Let's go to Fabi versus Prague, because they've also got a few moves left to make. Prague is just a minute, so I guess let's spend a little bit of time here. But he's still holding the balance, and we might see some sort of queen trade and rook end game. Still, it's kind of a very unpleasant position, I think, just to even look at for black when you have a rook like that. I don't know. That decision was certainly surprising, and the rook is still there all these moves later.
What did he do? C5.
Okay, c5. And now he's losing a pawn, right? Because if I go rook b6, and then you trade with me, then you can't really stop rook c6 without losing a pawn.
Yeah.
Rook b6 looks, yeah, this probably wasn't, I mean, he's trying to get active, like I get the idea, but like, but actually just rook b6 and so many possibilities, and if you don't
E6,
trade, if you
yeah.
don't trade queens, there's going to be an e6 there.
Or even rook c6 first. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rook c6 and e6.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Prague might be going down in this game.
Yeah, this is very unpleasant endgame for black to play. It's yeah, rook b6. I like this move. And you have to take on f3 after that. I don't see.
Yeah, because I mean, again, if black goes somewhere with their queen, they also have to deal with like the opening of their king. But I mean, this end game, let's take a look. Because also white's king is better. And the problem is you can't even put your rook behind the pawn because my king just reaches it, right? I reach in time to block it. It's perfect. And then I just kind of move out of the way and start pushing. So, I mean, this rook endgame would be like really not a lot of fun. Maybe c4. Maybe that's a try, because if I go rook c6, then you can like sort of activate something with the idea of rook here or rook there if I go king e4.
Or maybe just rook b7. Yeah, so you have this rook b5.
Yeah, rook b7 is also interesting. Yeah, it pretty much does the same thing.
Yeah, so
Rook b6 on the board.
Fabi played rook b6 already.
Yeah.
And now I think Prague is forced to take the queen.
So he's got to take the queen and then go c4, right? And then...
And king moves.
Yeah, but that's the thing. We shouldn't go for the pawn right away. We need to go for the pawn with the king, not the rook. He traded. So can he... And if he goes rook c7, we go just king d2. But then maybe you're on time for this, right?
a6, maybe. Oh, no. You have to take, yeah? On a6, but rook e5.
Yeah, so Prague, maybe he will kind of hold this position.
He played c4, yeah?
Yeah, actually, you know, if he can activate the rook, it's not so bad. And he made the right move, c4. So that's the good news. I mean, then it's kind of, you know, it's easier to find these ideas, yeah? So king e3, and then just rook c7, and going here. What if I go king e2? So that way my king can stop the pawn. Well, then we go this way, and then if you take here, f4
And a rook.
and c3, yeah, c3, and I will get my draw because I get the draw like this. I get the pawn in the end. All right, so it looks like, by the way, somehow, oh yeah, ABASOV played. He played bishop g4. And Magnus is down to under 3 minutes. So this was the best move, I think. And if he traps in that rook, it's really annoying for white. And he's going to do it, right? So I think Magnus has to prepare for that by
Queen F2,
Queen F4,
Queen F4.
for example, or Queen F2, yeah. Queen F2, he just has to deal with rook E2. Maybe it's not a big deal.
Oh,
you know?
if rook F2, then rook G4, can I play that? Rook G4, Queen G4, Queen F7, but maybe just King
King
C8
C8,
there.
yeah. So, yeah, I mean, definitely white has to look for tactics like that, but it seems like after King C8, there's no checkmate, and maybe black is surviving here. So Magnus maybe will just go Queen F4.
Okay, now big decision for Magnus because he's going to hit his 40th move.
And something like that. Pull the rook back and kind of make sure it's like in the game. But yeah, it's not trivial. And by the way, there's a queen trade. There's a queen trade, and then they can play this position. Well, Magnus likes these end games, but he's going to spend so much more energy. It's incredible. It's just so incredible, right?
Yeah, the game could have ended like much earlier for him.
Yeah, like how he's so amazing, but just misses like one simple decoy tactic, you know?
Which I'm sure he saw it in his calculation.
Yeah.
But the question is, why didn't he play it? Maybe he miscalculated about something.
So one of our viewers says, Magnus is going to destroy his hotel room rock star style if this is draw. I wonder if Magnus does that. You think Magnus, you know, is in the habit of destroying his hotel rooms?
No, I don't think he has that type of tantrum.
You don't think so? I don't know. You don't think so?
No,
Oh,
I
he
don't
gets
think so.
very angry when he loses.
Did he take on A7? He did.
Oh, wow.
Oh, and then
Oh, that's amazing. What is going on here? Oh, he found the Queen G1 idea.
yeah. But now what's the difference? Okay, now
The difference is that, well, this one is a hard one to see, okay? This one is hard.
no. But first of all,
yeah.
I have to point it out
Yeah.
because he did this decisive Bishop A7, knowing that NIJAT only has about 1 minute on the clock.
Yeah,
so
and then
it's
he
a
got up
clever
from the
move.
board. Yeah, it's clever.
It's
Oh,
very
yeah.
clever.
It's clever. NIJAT is like, well, first of all, yeah, the point is that there's a check. There's similar to what it used to be, right? And of course, he's threatening that. And so now, somehow, and this is hard to understand for sure, like, oh, it's Queen G7, because you make the bishop go back. Oh, NIJAT looks disappointed. He's got to get himself together.
Oh, he might just take the.
He's thinking that he blundered. He
Yeah,
needs to see this. He needs to see something. Maybe there's a check over here. There's a chance.
That's not easy. That's not easy.
All right, no.
Oh,
okay.
F6.
He went to F6. Wow, is that?
Is it the same or
Maybe
there's a difference
maybe
to
it's
that?
the same, but the queen. Yeah, maybe
Let's
it's the
do it.
same. Yeah,
Oh
but
no, it's not. It's not.
no.
There
oh,
is-
because you're not covering maybe C7, and you're not covering your bishop.
Oh, maybe that is
man,
why.
if he just blundered.
No, but this is so hard to decide a move within like a minute on the
well,
clock.
you know what the difference though is? It does make sense why this is better because the bishop is still covered and they don't have king b4. Well, actually, I don't know why. I mean, you still can't take an a7 because of queen g1, so there must be...
No, there's
Oh,
a check.
there's
There's a
this,
check on
this?
C5.
Okay, this is nuts.
This is so
C5,
deep.
giving up the pawn with check and then having like rook b6 and then... Okay, somehow you stay alive with your bishop against those 4 pawns.
To be honest, this is something that Magnus wouldn't have done if his opponent has more time on the clock. You know, if let's say if NIJAT has 10 minutes on the clock,
Yeah.
he wouldn't have sacrificed
Yeah,
on say
wow.
A7 like that.
I mean, it's pretty cool how he still got that move in. And we were already, yeah, we didn't even like notice this possibility anymore, yeah? And let's see. So if queen g7, so the point is basically that on this move you can take. And then you have that c5, right? And the bishop's protected. And if I go back, which obviously looks like a big problem as well, you have some kind of move like that. And what? Like, even though I lost that pawn, you're getting counterplay?
I think
Maybe with,
because
like,
there is rook E2, yeah.
Yeah. This is like kind of a big threat. Actually, you're threatening rook e2 and queen d2 with mate.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And then look at this line. Okay. Okay, it could have been just absolutely insane. I mean, here and here. I'm just looking here at this engine line.
And then you have
Wow.
to take with the bishop and queen there. Wow.
What is going on here?
Oh, because rook a6, yeah? So you have to move king b5. Man, what a deep line.
No, that's just insane. Right? Like, wait, like, so hold on. So if I go there, which is not even a move the engine looks at,
I mean, at least there is queen h1, at least.
yeah, that's probably actually, well, that I think that might be the only one, actually. Yeah. It's the check in the corner and then
No, there is queen g2 as well. You can just queen g2.
right, it's one of the checks on the diagonal. But if you didn't have that, then I would win. So that's why I have to cover the diagonal, threatening you with checkmate. And you have to go here. Okay.
I think if we played this,
Yeah, I think if we be playing this position, I mean,
they would search us, yeah? Like,
yeah, no, that's an amazing line. But NIJAT, he on his 40th move gave the check on f6. Now Magnus has lots of time to
bishop.
figure this out. And now clearly he wants to keep the bishop there because queen b8 is the threat. So he doesn't really want to go bishop d4. And I think if possible, he will try not to play this move. Because, yeah, obviously bishop d4, it kind of goes back into queen g5. So if he runs, so basically the bishop can just never be taken, yeah? Because at least we can take on g4. Or we can first throw in the check and then take on g4.
yeah, wow, what a
Well, I'm
big
glad we
miss.
went to this game for the last,
Yeah.
for the last part because, Magnus did produce something really exciting here.
No, also very tricky and smart, judging
Yes.
his opponent's time situation.
Yes.
Um,
But here's the other thing, though. I'll tell you something. Like, I'm not sure that it's only tricky. Like, I don't think it's necessarily that he saw queen g7, queen g5, and was like, oh, that's like a draw, but I'm going to give it a chance anyway because it's too complicated. He might have not seen it either. That would be actually my guess. Like, my guess is actually that he probably, like, even if he saw this line, like, he was probably thinking, okay, like, I'm up 2 pawns here, I got something. Like, this can't be like a bad line for me. So I don't know. I don't really know if I'm ready to believe that it was a bluff. Like, I think he maybe genuinely thought like this was a pretty good move, and he would be surprised if it wasn't winning. That would be my guess.
Yep, that probably is true. And I think most of the players, all the boards are already passing their time control.
Yeah. Well, okay, hold on. I don't want to go on the break just yet. Hold on. It's too exciting. It's too exciting to leave right now. So after queen f6, we're thinking he has to find king b4. Now, does NIJAT have any chances here? Does he have like anything to sort of latch on to? His bishop is hanging. All these checks, they get met by bishop c5. So there's actually not like a whole lot for him to work with, yeah? I mean, giving up the pawn like that, I just take bishop takes c5, I think, right? And my king is completely safe. Yeah, so it does look like NIJAT is kind of going to be staring into a pretty bad position if Magnus plays king b4.
Is there anything else besides king b4?
Well, the thing is, like, yeah, you want to keep the bishop there, so he's just going to go this way. I mean, he can't go backwards and go into rook e2, so this doesn't look really, I mean, this doesn't look right either compared to king b4. So no, he'll go king b4, and then he'll be pleasantly surprised that he's, like, completely winning,
And bishop d4 loses to...
Which one, bishop d4? No, bishop d4 just goes into queen g5.
Oh, that's the same
It's
line.
the line. So he basically
that's
would be
right.
allowing him back into like a line where he has some chances, right? So why would you want to move
Yeah,
this
yeah.
bishop from that gorgeous square where you're threatening like checkmate in 2? So you just go king b4, queen b8 is the threat. They can like throw in some check, kind of move around something. I don't even know where here, but then they're threatening nothing. Like they're threatening. I mean, you could probably even win with rook takes.
Yep, and he's
He's
reaching,
reaching for the king. Okay. So yes, Magnus has made the winning move. And now I'm feeling more comfortable about just taking a quick look at Prague's game before we go on a break. And Prague's last move was rook d7, which I think is the right move. He's kind of keeping the options open for rook d5, but also kind of keeping this king cut. So, and if the king goes up, then there's like rook d2, you go for the other pawns. So Prague, I think, will be able to hold the draw in this game. All right, guys, we just covered the very exciting moments, so we're going to take our short break and see you on the other side.
Azərbaycanın təbiətindən, Naxçıvanın torpağından süzülərək gələn təbii suyun sirri, Sirab.
Her damlasında hayat var.
I'm joined here in the interview area with the first player that has finished her game this afternoon in the final of the Women's World Cup. Nurgül Salimova has just drawed with black against Garyatskina. Nurgül, I expect that it's a good result in principle with black, but I want to ask you a couple of questions about the opening. First of all, what are your sensations after finishing the game?
Well, draw is of course a good result with black, but I feel like I was just pressing the whole game, and I mean, I could just play more precisely for sure. I don't know. I mean, it just looked like black was better because what she did in the opening looked very suspicious. But I don't know. Somehow I don't know if I found the correct way to respond. I mean, yeah, that's it.
So for those spectators who have been following the game, could you pinpoint any specific moment where, after you played the move and saw how it went, you would have gone back and played something different?
Oh, well, I think when at the end game when I have bishop against knight is of course better for black, I think. Okay, and okay, basically no chance to lose, I would say. At some point I played king f8, I think. I don't know, I was thinking maybe f5 could have been fine, but I mean, I didn't like some lines with f4, g4, and it just looked drawish. But king f8, I believe it was more ambitious, I would say. But okay, this f4 was good for her, I believe. And in the end, I don't know, I didn't find anything clearly better for me.
So my specific question about the opening, both of you played it more or less fast. I wasn't sure if you were in your home preparation or not, but after your move c5, the computer was giving a +2 advantage for white with queen takes c5. Of course, you have a huge amount of compensation. So my question was this something you'd analyzed before, or you just thought there was enough compensation for the pawn, for the 2 pawns in that case? She declined. She exchanged queens and declined, but then you're okay.
Oh, well, it just looked suspicious what she did, this bishop f6. I didn't check this. I mean, of course, I prepared the line, but this bishop f6, queen f5, I didn't check. And when she played it, okay, it looks super suspicious for human. And queen d5, okay, I thought maybe I should keep the queens, you know, king on the center, she's behind with development, and maybe like queen, I checked queen e7, queen c8 to keep b7. But, okay, c5 looked also great. I mean, I saw queen c5, of course, but I was like, okay, no way human plays like this. Because, I mean, all her pieces are just on first rank. And I don't know, but I thought queen c5, I mean, I had a lot of moves like simply knight c6. I want bishop e7, knight b4, so it was super dangerous, I think. But... so I thought queen d8, d5, what she did was objectively the best. But okay, I'm better there, I believe. But when now you say +2, I'm shocked, I don't know.
Of course, this is a computer evaluation. It looks very scary to capture the pawn. And in fact, she didn't do it after thinking 10 minutes. So she obviously thought it was scary as well. One more question that's come from social media. Well, first of all, congratulations. You've made a Grandmaster norm already, which I didn't know. And I heard it in the commentary today. So if that's true, my congratulations. And Izet Akar asked on Facebook, what do you think about being seen as the new Judith Polgar?
Thanks, but I mean, I'm far from Judith Polgar, obviously. And okay, I mean, I'm 20. I believe Judith became Grandmaster like when she was 12 or something. I don't know, I'm not sure, but okay, very young, much younger than me for sure. But okay, I mean, she's the best in the history, so what can we say? But
And finally, who is your favorite chess player? Give me a man and a woman.
woman, actually, it's Goryachkina. Nice. Yes, and man, okay. I don't know. I just look at all of their games. Also, women, of course, like all these top players, and I try to learn from all of them. I can't say a specific name.
Thanks for the interview and good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
Yeah, welcome back, guys. And it apparently Magnus has already finished the game, so let's quickly take a look while they're also still on the stage. What's happening on their game? And Magnus won it, but what's happening, Irina?
Yeah, well, he's explaining something to him, and I wonder if he's explaining that he could have played Bishop A7 earlier. He seems, yeah, I mean, that would be my guess, that maybe he spotted that he had Bishop A7 a move earlier. Or, I don't know, maybe he's explaining that the guy should have given a check on G7. But let's look at the final moves. So he played King B4, Rook E5, Pawn D4, Queen E7, and just C5, yeah, and he resigned because, well, the rook is hanging and Queen B8 checkmate on B6 is hanging.
Yeah, so apparently NIJAT is failed to continue this precisely, and unfortunately for him, it's just backfired very quickly, yeah?
Well, Magnus's 40th move came as quite a shock to him,
Yep.
I think, and it'll be interesting to see what Magnus says in the interview, you know. We always look forward to seeing that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that as well.
Yeah, I want to, like, for example, so my questions to Magnus, I guess, would be question number 1, why he didn't play Bishop A7 here, or did he see it? What he didn't like, maybe, you know, maybe he just missed Queen F2. This is a good question. Question number 2 would be, you know, when he was playing Bishop A7, how he evaluated this and
Right.
what he thought Black's best move would be. So if you're listening to us, Michael, those would be some good questions.
Exactly, yes, and whether he saw this sequence with
Queen
Queen G7,
G7,
Queen
Queen
G5,
G5,
and with
yeah.
the attack on C1 or even Rook E2, Queen D2. Yes, so those two are definitely very good questions, and I'm sure Michael will do his job very well.
Yeah.
And what about the other game? I saw quickly during the break that Anna Muzichuk is currently in a match-winning position, where it was quite equal as before.
All right. So let's see how she managed to get here. Oh, wow. So she has a pawn on B6. And basically she is just planning to give a check and advance that pawn. Black's rook is super passive. And should we even win that pawn or not?
Yeah.
Should we take here on, you know, should we even bother taking that pawn? Kind of looks like I would guess that we're winning if we take the pawn as well. But for some reason, this is stronger, so let's figure out why.
Oh, just give it a check.
B7, Rook B8, and now
Rook
you're
C7.
threatening this. Oh, and I just stopped that.
And then just king moves, yeah?
And so now if you go G4, wait, can I also mate you in some way? Like, I feel like this king,
You want to go rook C1, H1?
I want to at least look at that. Like, maybe it doesn't work. It probably doesn't. But, you know, in this kind of situation, you always want to look at the mating possibilities. It doesn't really work because the king is going to run out this way. Let's see. So after G4, we can...
Well, first of all, you can have bishop H4, and then it saves the idea with the king D4, C5 ladder.
So basically, your rook can't really move. And I mean, she can go to E8, but that's not a great move. And your bishop can't move anymore, right? Because you've got to cover that. And your king has nowhere to go. So you're kind of paralyzed, yeah? But the only thing is that you have this pawn that can be a bit annoying. And yeah, you can't just leave it. You can't just go with the king and let the pawn advance. So how do we win this? If we go this way and you just kind of stand, well, at some point I actually can do my checkmate idea. Like, for example, if you go king G8, can I finally try rook C1?
Yeah, why not, right?
Well, there are some reasons why not? Maybe king H7.
Check, and then bishop G5. Oh, no, maybe king G5. King G5
Yeah, then
and
there's rook
G8.
G8. Yeah, so I mean, like, rook C1 is definitely interesting because if you take, I think I get my checkmate. But the problem is you're not going to take. You're going to go king H7. And then check your king runs is perfectly safe. And unfortunately, when I go there, you got that check, you send me back. Right? So that doesn't seem quite to work like that. So what else do we have to win here?
What about just bishop h4?
Yeah, what about this idea?
Oh,
Can
that-
we ever do that one?
I
Like
mean,
maybe some sort of tactics with rook f7 even?
Yeah, or anything like
Or rook e7. We just put the bishop here and go rook e7.
yeah, I was saying about
Bishop h4?
to move the bishop to a7.
Oh, okay. That's your idea.
Or-
Actually,
You can do from e7 as well.
actually looks really good. Yeah, they both threaten that, right?
You just have to be careful about bishop d5 though. So after any bishop moves, I think it's just king moves to g7
Yeah.
or h7. Yeah, depends on. And then bishop d5 is a threat. So
And there's no time for this
Mhm,
because
there's
of
no
bishop
time.
d5.
so you just have to be careful about it.
Interesting. So what is the advantage of this? Is that if you go king h7,
Ah,
bishop d6. So now like hold on. Do we have on bishop d5 do we have
we
rook
just-
f7?
we have e6. So yeah, we have rook f7. And now if bishop d5,
no, but maybe
no, takes first and then e6. Rook f7 now.
after bishop d5.
Yeah,
rook
after bishop
f7.
d5.
But you know, after bishop d5, e6 immediately is actually
Yeah,
really
this is
good.
also good.
You know, just like that. Because you can't take, I trade, and I promote.
Yep.
And
E6
once I
in.
get you to go back, then I simply go rook e7. And I basically get my pawn promotion. Yeah, kind of a cool idea. But she's going kind of in a different way.
King d4.
Yeah, so she went king d4, which is fine. I mean, I still kind of feel, okay, so you know what she wants? I don't know. She wants to control d5. So if I go g4, check here. Maybe, you know what she does here? She goes here. And then she goes b7, and the king is completely stuck. You cannot stop rook a8, and you don't have bishop d5, and I win. And g3 is just a little too slow. I think that makes sense, actually, right? So king d4 is fine. Yeah, I think her chances of winning this are very good. And meanwhile, we got Fabi and Prague, who are going to be playing this, I guess, for a little while.
Yep.
Yeah, this might delay the dinner at the fish restaurant, this game. Because 4 against 3, yeah, I mean, of course it is a draw, but Fabi is going to want to play this for a while. So what have been the last couple of moves? He gave a check on c8, king went there, went back, went back. And actually, okay, rook d7, yeah. Oh, you can play king back to g7. I mean, rook d6 is not very dangerous.
Yeah, this should be holdable for PRAGGNANANDHAA to make a draw.
Yeah. I have lost this endgame once, though, you know, without the pawn. Thankfully, I was at least on the side without the pawn, you know? It'd be more embarrassing the other way. I guess you really don't need to go h5, yeah? I mean, you could go here as well.
Just by principle, just play h5, yeah, with this
yeah.
type of structure. 4
Yeah,
against 3.
usually it's considered like not a bad idea to have the pawn there. But I have to say that even like, okay, g5 might be the move you don't want to do, right? I mean, g5 looks a little too ugly because then you're giving them some ideas of rook d6 and, you know, the king coming in. So you don't really necessarily want to do that. But it's almost like all the moves for now work for black.
Yep. It's just a matter of which plan that Fabi will try to use on the next couple of moves. And we have Magnus Carlsen in the studio.
Okay, well, that's exciting. All right. We got an unexpected surprise here. What can you tell us about it?
Yeah, it was.
Let's go to the beginning.
Sure. Yeah, it was incredibly complicated. You know, I obviously got a good position from the opening. I knew that the way that I played with d3, rook g1, and so on, black has to play extremely precisely in order not to be considerably worse immediately.
When did you come up with this like d3? Is that a novelty?
Yeah, I think it's a novelty, but it's also the engine's first line, so I don't think it was a surprise to him. And also, like, Peter was part of Anand's team for the 2012 World Championship match, and Gelfand was playing the Rosalima then, so he added a lot of knowledge, and he was really good working on this. Okay, anyway, yeah, bishop a6. I think, yeah, there were a lot of options around here. Certainly, I could have tried to press on earlier with g5, but I wasn't so sure. Okay, let's fast forward quite a bit. I think there are a number of options.
Yeah. Did you consider like my idea of king d1 here?
Yeah. I didn't think it made a
big difference.
Big
Yeah,
difference.
just kind of a.
And I liked connecting the rooks immediately.
All right. Queen c7, knight e4.
Yeah, knight e4 maybe was not ideal. I was hoping that he would not take on h4, because now it became really complicated. Firstly, I wanted to play slowly with moves like in this position, moves like f3, knight g2, knight e3, and so on. But then he goes, yeah, king b8, bishop c8, and he starts going f5, e4, and he certainly gets some life for his pieces. So I didn't like playing f4 at all, but I didn't see any choice really.
So he took. Did that surprise you? Did you like, because the engine likes the king b8 move, king b8, bishop c8 here?
Yeah, I think he just wanted to complicate the game there.
So you were gonna go like f5 or something in this position?
Yeah, there were other moves like as well. I thought king b1 was maybe even an option. But yeah, f5 looks pretty comfortable. So e4 was certainly what I'd.
You were expecting that move, or
not necessarily expecting, but feared for sure. Okay, so here, yeah, bishop c8, rook d1. I wasn't sure about it, but I thought it made sense. Yeah, queen f4, rook g4, queen e3. I'm sort of walking a bit of a tightrope here, but as long as I can consolidate, I'm much better. So, yeah, knight e5 was. I could have gone rook e3 immediately. I didn't think about that.
But we looked at that, and there was some tricky move with like knight d3 in some line. Like we were trying to do, was it maybe this queen e7, and then like if you go queen e2,
yeah, but I just go knight f4.
Yeah, there's some sort of
f4 there. Yeah, no, there are a lot of tricks, but.
Oh, actually, sorry. We were looking at knight d3 here. We thought maybe you didn't like this with queen f4. Oh, sorry. Do we? That doesn't.
No, but I just go.
There's some kind of.
Bishop e5. I didn't actually see that,
d6,
but I thought I could play rook d3 instead.
Yeah, that's
rook
simpler.
d3 seems to be okay.
So you played.
Yeah, king c2 was a bit weak.
King b7, rook e3.
Yeah, queen e7. That was a very unpleasant surprise when he played it, because I thought I had everything more or less under control, that I was consolidating, yeah, I hadn't seen Queen E7, which was super unpleasant. Now I kind of have to go for this position, which doesn't feel like it's much at all.
Yeah, so you weren't like very happy with how the game was going here.
No, not at all. Yeah, Rook H5 was impractical. I mean, I knew it, but I felt like Rook E1 was just a little bit too soft. For instance, then he can push the pawn and protect the pawn from F8 with the queen after Queen E3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it didn't seem like I had prospects of more than some exchanges, really, and this seemed really hard to win. So Rook H5 was...
and Queen H2, yeah.
Yeah, Queen H2, and then, yeah, I didn't see this at all.
What did you see? Like, did you think this was dangerous at all for you, or like?
Yeah, I thought it was really dangerous, but I thought it was also dangerous for him strategically. I was thinking of Queen E8, actually. Mm-hmm. Something like really... Yeah, the move Queen F1 just didn't enter my mind at all, I have to say.
Yeah, when we saw like this evaluation, like we thought like maybe Queen F3 was the move, but then there's still like Rook H3.
Yeah, then
you kind of reroute.
I'm keeping control. Yeah, no, I didn't see the move at all.
So you never had like that horror feeling of like I'm losing in this game?
Not even remotely.
Okay.
No. I thought I was doing okay, or I thought actually Queen E8 was important. Let me see what the computer says about that move. Yeah, King C3, probably, and then Rook E7 is what I thought. Preparing Bishop G4.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, then it went Bishop F6.
And then kind of lets the rook in.
Yeah, and then Rook E5 in exchanges.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, this is what I thought that he should go for.
So
and okay, anyway, Rook here. Yeah, here I was expecting. Yeah, Rook F6 was just a blunder. I was expecting Queen G7, Bishop D2, Queen A1, Bishop C1, and then I wasn't so sure, but I thought I was out of danger at the very least.
So you just kind of like hide things like that and have your choice of pawns, yeah.
Sure. But yeah, Rook F6 was just a blunder. He said afterwards he just missed Bishop E3. And now Bishop F5.
So things were looking good here.
Yeah, we're looking very good. Queen G6. Like basically, if I can consolidate, I'm just going to be technically winning. So here, King C3.
I guess, like, at which point were you looking at these Bishop A7 moves?
No, I noticed it. So I noticed it immediately after I played the move Rook H4, because that really annoyed me. That I could have just won on the spot.
Yeah.
With Bishop A7, and then I played this horrible move Rook H4, because I was thinking before that. Rook H4, Bishop G4, Queen F4, Rook back to H2. I'm slowly untangling, and I should probably win. Yeah, and then of course Bishop A7 won, but I saw it too.
Did you not see it at all, or you just didn't see like Queen F2? Or
No, I didn't see the move at all.
At all?
Not at all. Because I was focused on untangling my pieces.
So Rook H4 happened, then you noticed that you had that winning
noticed
move.
that I had an immediate win, and then so this was expected. Like he was thinking for a while, and my reasoning was that he didn't. I saw that it was not clear now after Bishop A7, but I thought his reasoning was that it was his best chance, that he'd just lose slowly if he'd made other moves. And then I thought this is move 40. Bishop A7, I kind of calculated to win, but I felt like it sort of should win. So let me just make the move, and then I can calculate after the time control. But I'm not sure at all that bishop a7 is objectively any good here.
What did you think? Like, what was his best move? Like,
No, I thought queen g7, bishop d4, queen g5.
yeah,
And then I thought queen f4 is a pretty certain draw, but I didn't know if I have anything particularly better.
so I guess after queen f4, you have like some kind of a perpetual, or
Sorry, queen.
oh, sorry, where did you say?
That's queen
Yeah,
f2.
No, queen f2. You mean, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, there are so many things I'm missing.
Yeah, it's a complicated position.
Oh my god, queen a5. Yeah, I missed. So, okay, yeah, I should.
Yeah, okay, that's a big.
I should
check,
count
yeah.
myself pretty lucky then that none of these things happen. Yeah.
Yeah, well, he was probably quite shocked by bishop a7. Yeah, I mean.
No. It was clearly expected because he spent 5 of his 6 remaining minutes or something on bishop g4, so he clearly had seen it. But
when you walked away from the board, he was definitely expressing like some discontent. Maybe he missed something and like.
Maybe. But obviously, I was elated to come back to
Queen
the
f6.
board and see queen f6 because I'd seen that. That he needed to protect the bishop, and now my king is actually really comfortable on b4, and then it's just game over.
All right, Magnus. So, well, how do you feel about going into the game tomorrow? How do you feel about the tournament in general?
Yeah, I was really nervous today, I would say, at several points. But, getting a win is obviously great. It takes most of the pressure off for tomorrow. So I'll probably throw away the game, but I'll take the result for sure.
All right. Well, congrats, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Yep. So unfortunately, Magnus cannot stay forever.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, I would be happy to give my chair to him.
Yeah, I could ask just some more dumb questions, like, hey, what do you think about your tournament? Like, it was so
Right.
bad.
So
Okay, guys. No, I'll do better next time.
no, it was already good. It was already very well done. And
Yeah. Well, we did our best to get at least we got some clear answers about the game. About like that he didn't see bishop a7 at all, and like when he did see it, that was definitely interesting. I think he definitely gave us some good illuminations on what he was thinking about during the game.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely very useful to hear his personal insight over the game, right? And then he clearly shows disappointment over his own play, yeah? Missing so many stuff.
Yeah,
he said.
I have disappointment over that I couldn't remember any of the lines. I was trying to show him this knight d3 move, and I forgot like in which way it's doing it. I was just like hanging a piece everywhere. I think like I'm gonna show you guys what I was trying to like show Magnus about this moment when we were looking at rook e3, and then it was like king b7. It was this move. And then on queen e2, that's when knight d3 happens. First of all, you're pinned this way, so you can't take it. I was like, no, there's somewhere knight d3. It just like hangs a piece. So like that was not good.
Yeah.
Oh well.
It was interesting. So
Guys, yeah, it's funny. You get kind of nervous when unexpected things like that happen. But yeah, it was really cool. It was really cool for him to join us, and I hope we see him again in our studio.
yeah, actually, we might have another treat as well, depending on how the game between Fabiano and Pragnanandhaa finishing. So let's quickly take a look at what happened in the rook endgame. So it looks like.
You know what I was surprised about also? The Magnus said he was like really nervous about this game. Wow. I mean, That was not like an admission that I was expecting. I would be thinking that he'd be quite cool about it. Facing someone that, well, he's just a lot more experienced than, right? But he said he'll take the result and throw away the game. Well, the result is good. I think the game was very interesting.
It was interesting.
And I'll tell you another thing. I'll tell you another thing about Magnus that I kind of found interesting in this interview was how he said that, he knew rook h5 was kind of risky, but that he just felt rook e1 was too soft, as he called it. I know he likes to use that expression. But, it's like the will to win mentality. Even he kind of knows rook h5, risky move, but he just doesn't want to make it so easy for his opponent to make a draw. And actually, it's that mentality, I think, that gave him the win today. So that probably one of the key points in reality was this rook h5 moment. If we go right here, and he has this choice to kind of go and defend the bishop solidly, but also kind of leading to a lot of trades later, right? Instead, he goes for this move, like staying in this pin, and then he tries to get out of it with queen f7. I guess that was like kind of the idea, queen h2, I mean. And well, the queen f1 move, you see, he didn't see that at all. He didn't know that he was losing. That's also quite interesting to hear. And it's not so surprising, right? I mean, it's not like the things that are obvious to the engine is not always obvious when you're playing. So neither him nor his opponent saw that winning move.
Yeah, it's a good practical choice by Magnus to play this rook h5 instead of, you mentioned earlier, like rook e4, yeah? And
which one, rook e1, you mean? Rook
no,
e4, where?
in this position.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, rook e1, not e1. Rook e1, yeah. So it's just, well, it's stopping the pawn, and also, yeah, I like this, not to be under the pin the whole time. So, well, I think this game is very interesting in a way of showing Magnus is also human.
Yeah, no,
Right?
he gave, I think, a very honest, I mean, he always is, I think, honest in what he says after the game, but like, he basically answered all the questions and gave us an idea of what he saw, what he didn't see, when he saw it, so I think, but that move, rook h5, right, risky, but not soft, right, and basically keeping the game going, taking like that, walking past that moment where he even could have lost. But ultimately, that's the decision that, winds up getting him the win.
Yep.
Right? So then he wins the c5 pawn. Things start going well. And yeah, he did notice. Yeah, sometimes that happens. You play a move and you immediately see the winning move. It's kind of funny here. I guess I would kind of wonder, like, was this move possible even here? Or it's just not the right timing yet?
Everything is protected, so I don't see how...
Yeah, that's right, because the bishop's not hanging. I see. So it's like he couldn't do it yet, but after, what was it, like the rook moving away, that's when it becomes possible because the bishop's hanging. Okay.
Yep. So he definitely didn't see this queen f1 idea too, yeah, in the earlier.
Yeah.
Both of the players didn't see it. So
well, hopefully you guys enjoyed that interview. All right. So let's see what we got going on in Fabiano. I think it's just ending in a draw, isn't it?
It should be ending with a draw soon.
Because actually all the pawns are getting liquidated. Yeah. Takes. And f6. And I think, well, that's just the end, right? What's there to even look at? I mean, on e6, we can even go rook e5. We could also maybe just take your pawn. Well, this one doesn't really need any commentary. I mean, this one gives you some choice of how you want to make a draw.
The rook e5 just easier.
Yeah, but I think this is easy too because the king is cut. So it really just it doesn't even matter if you get your check on e7. Yeah.
So this game will be ending very soon with a draw. And I think also the game between Anna Muzychuk versus Tan Zhongyi, Anna is already very much winning. I think that game could also be ending very soon.
All right. Let's go here.
So rook b7 is on the board, but I think you just have to play king d6, yeah? And then trying to checkmate on c8, for example.
No, you know what we can also do? We can just trade the rooks and go king d6, king c7.
Oh
and
yeah,
then
sorry.
you
King
can't
d6 is
even-
b6 is hanging, sorry.
Yeah, you can't even like, you can't even stop me from basically forcing you to give up your bishop for the pawn.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she's gonna do it, or maybe...
Yeah, I feel like, thank you guys to our viewers, by the way, who's saying that I did great talking with Magnus. You're very generous, trust me. I mean, I feel like, I don't know, I was just so shocked, you know, to have them burst into the room like that, and we hadn't prepared that at all. So I feel like I could do better, guys. I would love to get another chance to like put a few sentences together, you know, but yeah, that was kind of exciting, you know?
Yep,
Definitely
definitely.
exciting when the, you know, when you get to like talk to the best player in the world about his game.
So rook c6 is on the board. So instead of doing the approach
Oh,
that
wow.
you mentioned,
Weird.
rook b7, bishop b7, king d6.
What could she not have liked about this? This one seems like you're literally just going for the bishop, and I mean, you can't even do anything with this pawn. So that would have just been game over. I don't see how anything unclear there. So you're saying she really played rook c6? Wow, that's shocking,
Yep.
isn't it? Aren't you shocked by this? I guess this way the king escapes.
Yeah, the king can escape. So
I mean, it's just very strange decision. But maybe after she makes her move, she'll realize. After maybe Tan moves the rook back, maybe she'll move back to c7, and she'll realize that she can win in that way by trading the rooks.
yeah, I think any way wins. Yeah, you can also trade the rook. You can also do it this way because the king is just so superior compared to the other king. King f8, and maybe here you can throw in bishop f6 too. Yeah, just you know to keep this.
Are you also winning the bishop? Are you just like
Oh yeah,
winning the
just
bishop?
checks
Rook
bishop
c8,
f6, right?
here, bishop f6, and aren't you just
Yeah,
winning
yeah.
the bishop
Yeah.
on g2? I think it's over.
Yeah, it's over soon.
Yeah, both players, they seem definitely quite tired. But I mean, nice kind of comeback win for Anna after her big disappointment yesterday.
Yep. She went
yeah, it
for
would be
it.
very sad if well, it would be very sad if she didn't make it to the candidates because of yesterday's match. And yeah, now she's confident that she's winning this bishop. Yeah, I think it's time. Actually, Tan can resign here.
Yes. Wow. Okay, so Anna is winning the first game, and tomorrow she's taking the black pieces. Yeah, I think you should just resign on this position, right? There's nothing else to see. So let's take a look at the game of Fabiano versus Pragnanandhaa.
Oh, wow. There's actually still being played. You know, I thought it would be over. Okay. So you've got the king cut, but you don't have him cut enough. What scenarios do we have to lose this position? Well, the typical way that we try to make a draw, like I'll show you, I think, one scenario where maybe we can lose, okay? Like we try to like trade the rooks. For example, you go rook a7, king f5, and like rook here. And I mean, I'm not saying that that's losing, but
It is losing. I think.
well, it's only
Okay,
losing if you
E6, yeah,
trade. It's only losing if you trade.
But
Now,
you can come back to a7.
yeah, you can go back, but basically, if you trade, you actually happen to get into a lost king and pawn endgame because now the pawn goes to f7 without a check. So then you have to kind of get out of the way. Let me promote. Obviously, you don't need to. I mean, you don't need to try so hard to lose as black. So king f5. Okay, so what did Prague do? He's still thinking. I mean, well, this is, you can also give checks from the long side. You're actually on the right side of the pawn. You're on the short side, so you can just keep your rook on. Yeah, that's what he does. And when the king goes up, then you start to check. This is
And-
called the long side defense.
Yep, and the game between Anna Mzichuk and Tan Song-yi has finished already, and Anna won the first game. So the last game standing is between Fabiano versus Pragnanandhaa, which looks like a draw, but yeah, but Fabi tries to make Pragnanandhaa prove it that he can make this a draw.
Yeah. Well, yeah, this is a kind of an instructive defense that when your king would actually prefer to be in front of the pawn always, but when he's forced out of that position, he likes to be on the short side of the pawn, meaning the side where there's the fewest number of files, and he leaves the long side to the rook. So the rook just gives check from the long side, and you can't make any progress. How do you even try to win this position as white? I mean, every time this rook moves, the king just goes in front of the pawn. You can't push the pawn because you lose the rook. So, I mean, I don't really think there's any winning tries here.
Yeah, well, and Fabi just did it. So rook b6 is on the board. So now black just has to play king f7 and then put the king in front of the pawn on e8 or on e7. Yep, so... And Pragnanandhaa has enough time on the clock to figure things out. So we'll take a look.
Yeah. Well, I'm still feeling pumped about all of this, you know? Yeah. All right. You need to get a real adrenaline rush, guys. When you get surprise visitors in the studio. Yeah.
Yep, so... King f7, yeah.
So what do we, you want to sum up today's results? I mean, we got 4 games to talk about. Obviously, I think Magnus versus ABASOV was a big one.
Right.
Him starting with the win with the white pieces. That's great. Moving one step closer to his first World Cup title. And Prague defending kind of an unpleasant position against Fabi, but he definitely showed his defensive skills and his... Oh, yes, this is a famous position that they're reaching. And here I believe the move is rook e2, if I'm not mistaken, as the easiest way to make a draw.
Or also rook a2, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, the idea of this, why? Because now, like, your king, basically, you haven't been able to reach a Philidor position. You haven't been able to cut that king. Let's see if Prague and I are on the same page about this. So I'm saying this one, behind the pawn is the general rule. And the reason is because when they check you, that way their king can't come up anywhere. Yeah.
Yep.
So it's kind of well known that when you can't set up the Philidor, you go to the short side of the pawn and you keep the rook here. And when they move their king, this is the point. And then they can never advance their pawn. They can give you a check. You go back. They threaten to checkmate you. And we kind of repeat. Here we go. We already had that position on the board. So, yeah, I think Prague is pretty confident that he can draw this.
Yep, but Fabi will just keep trying, you know. Yeah, but I agree with you. They might just end this game very, very soon.
Yeah, so continuing. Well, no, I think Prague made actually a pretty easy draw from a position that he was kind of suffering in. So I think he did well to hold that, right? Like, it never got too bad.
Right.
He made some good judgments, and I think in that rook end game. In terms of Garyechkina Salimova, that game was the first one to finish today. Oh, yeah, rook e8. Yes, that's the only try. And now we go to the long side. And we go to the long side of the pawn. And we go rook a2. That's, again, where we're using the long side defense.
Yeah, so, yeah, this type of defense is for the top players. They already have it, like, on top of their mind, so...
Yeah, so you basically, right now, you don't want to let this king, like, advance. So you need to go here to be ready with checks from the side. Definitely instructive, guys. I mean, of course, not all of our viewers are like rook endgame experts, and I think probably a lot of them would feel kind of lost in these kinds of positions. So you do want to watch this part, because even though it's obvious for the GMs, like at the amateur or club level, these kinds of positions get lost all the time.
Yeah, just have to really understand the nuances here because many of the positions look very similar, but the approach that you have to take is definitely different.
Yeah, so how do you even continue to make progress here? Like, there's another, sometimes there's positions where, like, the rook has to defend from this side, but, like, probably he has to try this, right? But every time the rook moves, you can just kind of go there.
Go back to e2, yeah.
Right, and if they go there, yeah, he's trying that. I mean, I think you can just go king f8. So it's probably different ways you can play after rook d8, but there is also, I think this position is a draw. Like, let's say rook a6, rook d6. Well, not this one. You don't want to allow a rook trade. You go rook, let's say a8.
Or
But-
even rook a5, yeah?
Yeah, you can go rook a5, so I can't even move my king, right? But I just want to show, like, the worst case scenario. Like, let's say I want to show this position, right? And I'm letting you make progress, and I kind of let you make progress up to here. Like, here I really have to play this move because I got to stop your king from going any further. Like, there is a moment where you actually have to play the only moves because if you kind of let this go, like, I don't know, let's say you make another, like, let's say you give a check. And you let my king into e8, where see suddenly, like, you're losing, right? So I go rook d8, and here, basically, I'm threatening to come out, and let's say you, like, go there. I think I'm just gonna, I just go rook d here, d2. You know, so, I mean, there are some scenarios basically where, like, I win, right? But you kind of have to, like, not know what you're doing as black. But even as late as this stage, right? Like, if you know this rule, you cut the king from the 8th rank. So, like, yeah, at this point, like, these are some basic theoretical positions that, you know, some players, they never really learned this part, but it's quite useful to know. But we're probably not going to see this, guys, because I don't think Prague needs to get quite so far. So what happened here? Rook e8, rook a2. Here he went back, right? Yeah, he's going for your defense. And
Rook
then rook
d1.
d1. Rook d1 on the board. Well, I guess the move is king f8.
Yep.
I mean, just every time you have a chance to get your king in front of the pawn, you do that, right? You just go king f8 and that's it.
And he's doing it. Yes, king f8 is on the board. So there are two defenses here, yeah? You just have to keep a hold of this e pawn with the rook, and then also trying to get your king in front of the pawn, because when your king is in front of the pawn to e8 like that, it's nearing to the draw. So king f8, I just wonder which try that Fabi would do in this position. Because rook d8, king g7 back, or rook f1, king e8. You just have to go to the short side. So for example, after the king is on e8, and then white plays rook a1 and just go back to f8 again.
So king f8 on the board, and what are you saying, Irene, here?
Yeah, you just have to go to the short side.
The short side, short side, okay. Short side and long side. Viewers are wondering, is it disrespectful for Fabi to be continuing to play on in this end game?
Not at all.
No, it's really not. I think you've got every right when you're up a pawn, and it's not like it's not like a Philidor position, okay, which is a dead draw, and Fabi would obviously not play much in that. But like when your king is at least not cut, when it's gotten to go to e6, like I feel. You're justified in playing for a little bit. It's not like this is going to take that long, but you never know. Like your opponent could always make some inaccuracies and get into a slightly more difficult position, right? I mean, here he can just go to e8.
Right.
But again, you know, he goes to E8, and then we kind of want to set up the Philidor already. But you're going to go King F6.
And you can go to the
And
other
I can
side.
even go to this side, right? Like I can just kind of try to set up my Philidor,
Yep.
you know.
So King E8 is already on the board, and now just if I was mentioning if this one white plays Rook A1, then you just simply go back to F8. Do not get tempted to play King D8.
Yeah, I mean, by the way, I mean, King G7 is still a draw, guys, as we said. You know, you can do that, and you can, you know, you can give checks from the side like that. All of that is still drawing territory, but, you know, whenever you can keep your king in front of the pawn, you tend to want to do that. So that's on the board. And so in terms of our other exciting events, well, I would say even though Salimova versus Goryachkina was the first game to finish, it actually was a kind of an eventful game with a double pawn sacrifice offered by Salimova that Goryachkina didn't take. It was a really puzzling moment.
Right.
I mean, I guess we'll have to find the interview that Michael did to figure out what happened there and why Salimova gave up that pawn and why Goryachkina didn't take it. But as it turns out, Goryachkina was just kind of defending a worse endgame, which she did without too much of a sweat.
Yep. I mean, to be honest, Salimova could have played on and because she was in a better position, but yeah, she was satisfied with the draw result.
Yeah. You know,
Alright.
okay, we got Rookie 1 on the board.
Rook A8 check. I think we already see this position before.
Yeah, we've seen something like that before. Well, Fabi's doing a little merry-go-round, you know, whatever. The carousel goes around, comes back to the same position. All right. So, I guess I should have asked Magnus what he thinks about the nickname Magnus the Unmerciful. That would have been a good one. Then he would just walk out. He would be like, "You're so dumb, I can't even talk to you." So, yeah. Okay, guys. Well, why don't you give me some ideas for what we can ask Magnus when he comes back to the studio in the future, if that might happen. Who knows, right?
Yep.
He keeps winning. They might send him to our dungeon here again.
Well, if he's in a good mood, I'm sure he'll be happy to give
Yeah.
a cent or two.
I don't know. Even when he wins, he sometimes has looked a little exasperated in the interviews. I think that's what it is. It's like I have this memory of him doing these interviews and like just, you know, looking like he can't wait to leave. You know.
Yep, and meanwhile in this game, I think there shouldn't be any draw offer. They'll keep playing until there's a stalemate, or PRAGGNANANDHAA took the pawn on e5 because some exchange of the rooks already happened.
Okay,
Look
very
at
nice.
that. King b3, king e5. There you go. And
Okay.
that's a draw. The game between Fabiano Caruana versus PRAGGNANANDHAA. So this game is also very interesting from the opening stage because it seems like Fabi was in the upper hand situation and PRAGGNANANDHAA made a sequence of dubious moves, but turns out they are not the end of the world. They are not like deadly loss or anything, but it surely gave Fabi a slight edge on the position. And turns out, yeah, PRAGGNANANDHAA defended very well and managed to liquidify this rook's endgame with extra pawn for Fabiano, yeah. But yeah, in the end, it's just a dead drawn position.
Yeah, well, the games today, they finished a little bit earlier than usual. So that's kind of nice for us. And tomorrow we're going to be back on Sunday, 3 p.m., same time.
Yep.
I'm sure there's going to be a lot of fans again in attendance.
And we have 2 games tomorrow in the must-win situation. So Anna Muzichuk won against Tanzongi. So Tanzongi has to make a comeback in order to compete for the 3rd place. And also the rating favorite, Magnus Carlsen, already won the first game. So it is a must-win situation for NIJAT ABASOV. And tomorrow NIJAT will be playing with white pieces. So there is a very good chance that he will make a comeback.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the Azeri fans certainly hope so. Okay. We're going to see what happens tomorrow, guys. So thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.
Yes.